Like that, we back, fellas. This is Unpacked. I'm here with fellas. An amazing panel. It sounds like a little echo.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just me, but an amazing panel. It sounds like a little echo. Yeah, my bad. I'm hearing that, fella. But so yeah, again, this is Unpacked. This is the To Be Fair show featuring. Yeah, my bad. I'm hearing that, fella. But so
hold
yeah,
up, Q. Hold up, Q.
Okay, something happened. All right. To Be Fair show featuring. Yeah, my bad. I'm hearing that, fella. But so
hold up, Q. Hold up.
Fair show featuring. Fair show featuring.
I think it's Alex.
It's me.
You here?
We good?
Yeah, we good.
I think it's
good
Alex.
To go now.
I'm hearing it again.
You here?
We good?
Yeah, we good.
I think it's
good. Oh no, it's echoing still.
I'm hearing it again.
You here?
We good?
Yeah, we good.
I think it's
good. Oh no, it's echoing still.
I'm hearing it again.
You here?
We good? All right. I just muted Alex, and I don't think we hear echoing anymore. Oh, I muted you, Q. I'm muting Q. Q, unmute yourself.
Check.
All right. All good there. Rail. Say something.
You.
All good there. Trey, go ahead. Unmute yourself, please.
Mic check.
All good there. Alex, we about to unmute you.
Yeah, what's up?
Are we all good?
Yeah, I think
we
so.
all good. All right, let's bust it. Pause.
All right, we good money? All right, cool.
No, did
All right. Echo's going echo free. This is the To Be Fair show and G Shit podcast collaboration called Unpacked. I have an amazing panel here with me. And you know the fire thing about doing shit live is that you do shit live. And you figure it out. And we figuring shit out on the fly. But again, today this is a continuation of the series that we've had. The Divide series. And today we're going to talk on Black culture. What is Black culture? What defines Black culture? Who defines Black culture? But before we dive too deep into the conversation, allow this panel to introduce themselves, starting at the top.
G, host of the G Shit podcast. Make sure you follow wherever you enjoy your podcast on any platform at GSHPOD. Hi.
Yep.
Hey everybody, I'm Alex. Thanks for having me again, G and Q, and looking forward to the discussion. Find me on GitHub.
Real, it's on you.
What up? Yeah, I'm old head Real from the To Be Fair show. If you watch the show, you already know, kind of, you know what I mean? At the To Be Fair show on all social media platforms. And that's it.
FBA's on.
What's good? It's Trey. I'm just gonna do my best to be a good advocate for FBA. I know a lot of times we get a bad rap, so I just want to do my best to, be a good representation and explain a lot of the culture we got right here. A salute.
Gotcha. So I guess to start out with this conversation, and we'll start with the FBA lens because I believe that that's probably like one of the biggest differentiating factors that's going to come in the conversation. So, G, if I can, I'm going to share a meme or a TikTok, and then I'll let it get y'all response to it.
Even Black Caribbean people who are also descendants of slaves who were just a different boat stop.
Have you noticed that Black Americans don't think anyone else is black apart from them?
I think it's because Black Americans have this very unique experience where they're Black culturally and Black racially. Like the rest of us in the diaspora come from other countries. Even Black Caribbean people who are also descendants of slaves who were just a different boat stop we still have a culture that's separate from being a Black American. Because of the history of slavery and treatment of Black people in this country, Black people do have that experience where their race is directly tied to their culture. So when you say Black culture, you're associating with Black Americans. I used to be confused about it too, because I used to feel like they were trying to exclude other Black people in the diaspora, when really it's just an identifier of the culture and their race because they're so closely tied to each other. Like racially, they're able to identify other Black people, but it's just that culturally, we're not all the same, even though we're all a part of the Black diaspora.
All right, so we use this as a warm up. What's your thoughts? G, I think you muted, my boy.
I saw Alex shaking his head throughout the whole thing, man.
What you got for us, Alex?
No, it's just I don't know. It's kind of aggravating having like people of the Caribbean, I guess Caribbean descent, African descent, kind of like nominating themselves to speak for everybody. Because what the young lady said was that everybody kind of, we don't identify as Black, and that's not true, because like you have like places like Trinidad where like you have a big like Indian population, white population, Black population. We do divide by race. Like I grew up in the Virgin Islands where, I mean, no offense to my Dominican brothers and sisters, but we used to give them hell, for immigrating to the Virgin Islands. So I don't necessarily agree with that sentiment. But yeah, that's all I had to say.
Okay, and I guess like the softball question that the meme begs is there a difference between Black culture and like the culture of everybody within the diaspora?
Like, can I ask Alex a question real quick based off of that?
Go ahead.
Because like you said, in the islands, you said there's different race, but like, what do you call the culture that you're from, and like, or that you ingest when you're in that location? Like, what is it referred to culturally as a people, or however it's classified?
I mean, when you're away from home, you talk about home, but when you're home, like it's kind of like that's just where you are. Kind of like you don't notice you have an accent until you leave from your general area. I think the reason why I say that is like, I was a kid, a military brat, and my dad was stationed on Fort Buchanan, and that's the Caribbean as well, Puerto Rico, by the way. And yeah, like it wasn't very hard for me to walk down the street and then be like, okay, that's a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Puerto Rican, but I'm Black and my friend is Black. That's kind of how it always is. Like I mean, look at Haiti. Haiti's a good example. Like it's one island, half of it's Haiti, half of it is the Dominican Republic. And the same thing happens there, like that's kind of like, not to meme my Dominican brothers and sisters, but that's like when they come up here, I know Black, Poppy, I know Black, like that's where it comes from. They even down there, like there is like racial tension and division amongst people who kind of, for the most part, have the same ancestry.
But I guess my question is, what do they identify as culturally when they're on that island? Like, what do they self-identify culturally?
It really varies. Like there's like a really big Rastafarian movement. They are first and foremost like, Rastafarian. Then you have like regular people like me, like African, Black. That's what we were taught in grade school. Like we were taught that we are pretty much brought to these islands, like, against our will. And we're not Caribbean because that's like an entire Native American tribe. We're not Arawaks. We're not Tainos. Like we're Africans displaced on these islands. So if you ask the most educated Black people in the Caribbean, they will refer to themselves as Africans who just so happen to be on these islands. And our culture is something that we created as a result of being left out of a vacuum where it was kind of taken from us.
I think what you just said is exactly how Black culture is formed in America, in that we don't refer to ourselves as Africans who got off a boat here. We're Black. Like that's what we are. And so I think that's like, in the way you explained it is almost verbatim what makes what we call Black culture American different from other cultures, in my opinion.
Real.
I mean, I guess that's fair.
Yeah, no, I think that it was G that the breakdown. Yeah, I can agree with. And what I can say is though, also my wife and her family, they are Eritrean, and my wife was born here, but she was told that like they what I noticed is that they all, if you ask them, they're black, and we she said that pretty much when they were growing up, like when you go to school and they ask exactly what your ethnicity is, like they were told that they were supposed to say that they were black on the forms.
But culturally,
So
do
they
they look at themselves culturally as black?
I think the younger ones do. The younger
And so
ones
for
do,
them,
but
there's no
their parents.
differentiation, and there's no like, well, don't like like a lot of
No, I
you hear. Go ahead.
no, I say I had to make it a little bit more evident. I had to make it a little bit more evident in the conversations that I had with them, so that they differentiate. Because like before, like they literally just said they were black, like literally, like they even though that there was a difference, they literally didn't see that there was a difference. I don't know how they
Gotcha.
kind of,
But so for you,
to be
you
honest, I
do
don't know how
believe
they
that
kind of put
there's
it together.
a difference in defining black culture and like culture of all people that are black.
For sure, for sure, there kind
Okay.
of has to be. If we're talking about Black American culture, there has to be.
Okay. Trey, I'm gonna throw you the alley oop.
Oh,
What you
yo.
got for us?
So I'll say I really like how instead of saying the African diaspora, she said the Black diaspora, because that captures a lot of what we talked about last week. Because of course, like I'm tripping. Like Alex said, a lot of the people in the Caribbean who were educated know that a lot of the people from the slave trade, the majority of them went to Brazil and the Caribbean, and like only 4% went to America. So that's why they would have more of an African. And I think the term black was invented in America as part of our caste system over here. So that's why we've kind of embraced that term versus other countries. They embrace more like their nationality, like you're Jamaican or you're Haitian or whatever. You're not like African Jamaican or anything like that. You're not black.
Right.
You're just Jamaican. So I think black culture is the country that we built over here. So I think, and we also have a sense of togetherness that's also part of black culture. To where like if you're from the West Coast or you're from the East Coast or where it goes, you're still black. Like when I see you in public, we do a head nod if you're the only person that's like in a majority white area or something like that. Because we just have this sense of togetherness because we had to come together and we are all put together under the same system and we've all been brought up that way. So I think there's a lot more tribalism in these other nations where they have their separate sets because they're all black, so they separate in different types of black amongst that. Even in like we mentioned Eritrea and Ethiopia, like there a lot of them have family members on each side of the border, but they look at themselves separately. And if you look in Nigeria, I think there are dozens and dozens of tribes, if not hundreds, and they have like even whole civil wars over there. To where the most we do is like you might have like Crips and Bloods, but if there's a police brutality events, I've seen them tie their flags together and then say we all black type situation. So that just ties into like what black culture is, sense of togetherness, and we don't really have this thing where like I think also with this Pan Africanism where we kind of have this blanket blackness mindset in America, we kind of assume that in the conception of Pan Africanism, and then I think we're starting to learn that that's not the mentality across the entire Black diaspora. So that's why we kind of like circle our wagons and recognizing our own separate, distinct lineage, and I guess embracing tribalism the same way as everybody else.
Gotcha. All right. So one, I guess this would be a good, and I'll throw to you, Royal, before I ask the next question. But so agreement is that Black diaspora is the term that we're gonna use.
I like that.
Everybody cool with that? All right.
I feel like it's interchangeable, but yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just trying to like with me, I be stumbling like, all right, so how much name the group of people that's not FBA at this moment? That's the correct way to say it. And yeah, all right, as long as we have like an agreed word.
That's not it because FBAs are part of the Black diaspora. So it's not like FBAs and the Black diaspora. Like we're all part of the Black diaspora. But I was just saying as far as the African.
Oh, got you.
That's the term.
Well, yeah, I guess I kind of include FBA within it. But when we speak about all black, like all the entire Black diaspora in general, like that's the term that's easiest. Royal, what you got?
Oh yeah, no, I was thinking as I was listening to Trey, and though I do think that there's a difference, I don't necessarily think that it's beneficial unless you're talking about reparations, which I don't really like. I don't really care to talk about much, but we can talk about it. But unless you're talking about reparations, I don't see where the benefit is for to actually separate yourself from the rest of the diaspora.
How does it benefit us to be a part of the diaspora? What has the diaspora ever done for FBAs?
Well, I mean, what is it that you're looking for? Honestly, I mean, what are you looking for them to do?
Well, for instance, we have made a place for them to come, like seek refuge as refugees, or flee, or what have you. Because we had to fight white supremacists because they didn't want to allow anybody to come over here. We also, when the South African
No,
apartheid, we did a lot of.
no, but I said, what are you looking for them to do?
I'm saying like reciprocate.
By what? What is that? What do you mean?
Well, they could start by offering dual citizenship without us having to go through all this crazy visa stuff. It should just be like if we're the same way if you're an Israeli and you can have the right to return and go to Israel just as your mother is Jewish, we should be able to go
Mhm.
have someplace in Africa where we could go. I mean, not that I necessarily want to, don't get me wrong, but it'd be nice to at least
There you
have that
go.
offer, especially since we have to accept that a lot of the people that came from Africa, it wasn't the white
Well,
man over there rounding them up. It was Africans selling them to the Europeans over there. So, and also when they come over here and then they get scholarships and set aside, that were set aside for FBAs, that kind of takes away from what we fought for. So not only are they not reciprocating, they're also benefiting while also some of them looking down on us. And I don't think
right,
that's
but it sounds like a bunch of like I understand what you're saying, but so it's saying that you're like to me that sounds like victim stuff. I'm talking about what can they do that'll make us feel or us feel, but what is it that they need to do?
we have been victimized. So yeah, if you want to call it victim medicine, yeah, I mean, I'll accept that. Yes, we've been victimized. I don't want to deny that. But what do I expect Africans to do? I would expect them to, when we talk about things that are for FBAs, like
Mhm.
affirmative action is intended for us, and Juneteenth scholarships are intended. Juneteenth is a Black FBA cultural holiday. So when I see those scholarships allotted to Africans, some of them who kind of look down on us, that seems like a slap in the face, especially when I don't think we fought for them to come over here so they could benefit without, and also when they come over here, they get into their own enclaves and they don't really like associate with us. Like, I've heard them say that they don't want to marry, they call us Akata and Jareer, and I forgot the other word, but they have all kinds of names for us as well. So it's this whole like blanket blackness isn't what we really think it is. So it's like nothing.
But to be fair, Trey, like the whole Okada thing, that's
It
like
means it
that's
means
not
cotton
everybody.
picker, but it
No, I
means
know, but like that's like a few select Nigerians. Like you really can't attribute that to the entire continent. Like I don't think no one in Rwanda or Somali is saying that.
well, I don't have any problem with anybody in Africa. Like I'm talking about people that come over here and benefit from what we fought for a while down, or their parents who tell them that we're lazy, or anything, or say anything derogatory at all while benefiting for what we fought for. I think it's time for us to have a backbone and stand against that. No other group allows people to do that. That's slavery. When you do all the work and other people benefit while looking down on you, like slavery day is over.
Okay. All right.
what real laughing at,
You
man?
have nice kids in the
You
back.
said slavery days up, but what's all right? I'm not gonna read that comment, but so I guess I'll continue to move the conversation forward a little bit and ask before we get into like the literal what is Black culture, and as we're still at that like the onset of like the differentiating between FBA, Black diaspora, and their contributions within like the American sphere. Um, so do we discount the contributions of the Black diaspora and what they've had on American Blacks, the FBA, and like American society?
Such as what?
Do
My bad.
do we like isolate that away from like what Black culture is?
I don't know what I think that no, I don't think there's any influence of the Black diaspora on Black America, but I know the opposite is true. Like when you look at the Afro beats, that's a rip off of hip hop. Like it's like they're not wearing dashikis, they're wearing Timbs, and they're dancing to Black music, you know. And then when we're not over here wearing dashikis, we're in our own culture. And it's not just the Africans, then Europeans mimic our culture as well. Like
So you
Black
don't think
Americans.
that throughout the history of like America, people from the diaspora has not had an impact on American Black culture?
I mean, they've had an impact, like Marcus Garvey, for example. I don't know if it was a
Right.
positive impact, but
I think the question
there's
is
an
kind of
impact.
broad.
Yeah, it's very broad.
Like, do you mean like entertainment culture? Do you mean like political
Like,
culture?
and I guess because to me, when we get into like what is Black culture, like it encompasses all of those things, and there is like multiple narratives that I hear online often, and like the most current narrative that I'm hearing is like differentiating like Black and like non-FBA. And if we're doing that and like these are like separate cultures in themselves, then is there like a line in the sand where we're not going to accept the contributions also? Because you know what I mean, there is like a place where there has been a bridge, in my opinion, at like different points in time throughout history. And if so, like like again, I'm here to listen. So I love to hear like y'all opinion on like that concept.
I would say as far as like Black American culture or Black culture, period.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you look at around the globe, like like how Trey said, you got Afrobeat kind of going off.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you go to England, you see people like Joshua Anthony, like pretty much a lot of Black boxers. Even like the Premier League, you got Bukaya Saka, the soccer player. Like, we're pretty much what I'm saying is there's people who look like us everywhere, all over the planet, and you're all pretty much perpetuating essentially I
American Black.
guess like the big umbrella of Black greatness. I think we're all doing it
Right.
differently, but I think like not for nothing, like I'm from the Carolina region. Like I'm more happy when I see the baby rapping than when I see NBA YoungBoy. And like, is that
Mm-hmm.
tribalism? No, like that's like when I see the baby, like, oh, I drive past that every day. It's just that's just how
Mm-hmm.
it is. Like, I don't think that nobody is not celebrating anybody. I think we're all contributing on our little corners that we all live on. But to say that Black American culture, I would say in great part, it's kind of predominantly perpetuated and propelled by the Black Americans who are here in the majority. But I don't think it would be accurate to say that, brothers and sisters from all over the continent have come over here and contributed in large part to kind of the larger picture that we have here. Um, I mean, it's kind of no different. Like, Black people live in Germany, Black people live in England, and we always seem to thrive no matter where we are. We always figure out ways to make pockets. I think what's interesting about what happens in America is there's this is probably the biggest stage on the planet that anybody can kind of be, seen and, propelled on. So, you might get a little pizza Nyong'o. You
So I
might
guess
get
I got a couple questions real quick, spurred off of what you said. So one, I guess like the term Black, and I guess that's the root of like where we're at. And so is Black an American term? And if so, does that not mean that like all of the other people within the diaspora are appropriating like the concept of Black? If we're speaking about like Black culture, I was reading the Bunker TV, and this is what it kind of spurred that mixed with what you said. And I'll read his comment, and it says culture is food, music, dress, spirituality, and customs. All people have a culture. Why would Blacks in America be any different?
yeah. I'm not saying that Black people here don't have culture. Um, I guess it's more so along the lines that like Black
Right, and I
people.
guess like go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead. Ask your question again, if you don't mind.
Oh yeah, I guess because like we're framing the conversation in itself. What is Black culture? And when we're speaking of Black, I know we're speaking directly about American Black culture, and like the other side
Yeah.
of like the whole idea of like there's been a bunch of contributions from other people. within the diaspora would be the fact that like the experiences and the culture of Black people in America is really distinct to Black people in America as well. Even down to like the naming of Black, if I'm not mistaken, is like a fairly American thing. And yeah, so like I said, I'm in the middle.
I get what you're saying, but like I think it has to be taken in the context that like we say Black because we're mostly speaking English in America, so they say Black here, but like they call people Black in England, you know, like I got ancestry in England, and on like, you know, government documentations, they are Black. You're pretty much Black anywhere where they speak English, and outside of that, you kind of, I don't know how else to describe it. Like I guess I really want to clarify that no matter who you are, where you come from, like I think everybody considers all of us Black. And if you look at us, we're all Black. And I think if you put this same conversation in like Brazil, I think we'll all be seen the same way as well. So like I think at large, like I think Black American culture is like very prevalent. I think American culture kind of gets propelled the most, but ultimately, I think everyone who's Black contributes to the Black American culture that gets pushed to the forefront, no matter where they are, you know. But
I just got you. Go ahead, G.
I want to say, like,
go G and Trey.
As somebody who has lived abroad, there is a difference between, say, when you're Black and they think you're a French-speaking African, and then when they hear a nigga like me speak and they hear this accent, and they're like,
Right.
whoa, you're different. I want to have a different conversation with you. They don't see me the same as French-speaking Africans there. And even going to Africa is different. Like you stand out. You're treated different. So I would have to disagree that if we were in Brazil, that we would be looked at the same as people who in Brazil look like us. As soon as we start talking and they hear these American accents, I don't think perceptions are going to stay the same.
But G, like if you went to, I don't know, like New Mexico,
Trey.
like wouldn't the same conversation be like? Wouldn't you have the same conversation like with the accent that you have, which is predominantly Southern? Like,
hey, Alex, say it one more time. I think you was going in and out a little bit.
Oh, me?
I can hear him.
Oh, maybe that's just me then. Okay.
Yeah. Like, but what I'm saying is like, for the same accent that you have, if you went to Philly where they like Young Bull this and Joel and John and like all that, and you weren't saying that, people will look at you the same way they'll look at it like, okay, he obviously not from, you know, Norristown. He obviously not from Philly. You from down south somewhere. Like that, they will look at you the same way.
Nah, because them niggas' cousins is from where I'm from, and they go visit they folks down south. Like a lot of those folks up north, they have kinfolk that's country, and they know like, oh, that's just a country dude. Or like, I mean, I've lived in Texas, like, you know, it's a lot of Hispanic population, but they know what Black people are in Texas, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, so I culturally, I don't think Black culture is a monolith. I'll say that. Like, I don't think Black American culture is a monolith. Like what we do in North Carolina is different than what they do in New Orleans and Louisiana, which is different than what they doing in Florida versus what's going on the West Coast. So I don't think all Black culture is a monolith, but I do think Black culture recognizes Black culture, and it's not looked at like, you know, you're an outsider. Like you can get embraced if you move from up north down south and up south down south up north.
So, hey, fellas, real quick, I'm gonna put 5 minutes on the timer, and just wrapping up like this part of the conversation, we'll move more into like defining out Black culture and talking about the good and bad of what is the perceived Black culture. Trey, I know you had something to say.
Oh yeah, he just said what I was about to say. Like they definitely treat Africans differently than they treat FBAs abroad. I have friends in the military who will tell you that they know for a fact, like in Ukraine when they were wouldn't let all the Africans get on the boat. Because they have more of a different culture of, like, I think everyone knows the FBA's culture of resistance. So they know about Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, Fight the Power, Public Enemy, and everything we did to fight the power. And then they kind of see a lot of like brokenness and servitude in the continent. I hate to say it. So, like, they treat us differently.
You said that in the continent, they're buck broken. Is that what you said?
I mean, they have a lot of stuff. Like they were crying over the Queen. Like FBAs were not crying when the Queen died. Like nobody was. But I saw people in the Black diaspora crying over the Queen, especially in the Caribbean. Like not everybody, I understand that, Alice, but I definitely saw the video of them crying there. And the only FBA people who think they get confused with FBA, it seems like they're the ones in America. Because even in Africa, they can tell you if you're like Houthi or I forgot the other tribes, but they can tell the separate tribes apart because of their phenotypical features. So when the FBA say we can tell ourselves apart, it's really the same difference. So, and I think the reason a lot of them say we don't have a culture is because they have free access to our culture. And then when something is that available, it's hard to really respect it. And also other groups, sometimes it seems like other groups are, I don't want to say ashamed of their culture, but when they try to emulate FBA cultures while telling us we don't have a culture, it's like, why don't you just, I know you have your own culture back at home, like your own foods and cuisines and everything like that, but when you come over here and kind of, not cosplay, but like real quick, the last thing, speaking of cosplaying, we do see a lot of non-FBA actors come over here, and then they played Nina Simone, they played Gina Simone and made her skin dark and put a nigga nose on, and she played, and then she was a Dominican that did that. We had a non-FBA.
Well, it's just wild that they casted a light-skinned woman and put blackface on her,
right?
Even if she wasn't like a
They did Fred Hampton like that, Bass Reeves, MLK, and Selma, and even Whitney Houston. So we have like an epidemic. And Samuel L. Jackson says
that's actually really interesting, because all of them are non-Americans that did play these people. From
right?
Fred Hampton movie and that is crazy.
I'm just gonna say it. Chadwick Boseman from Anderson, South Carolina, and we had that man playing T'Challa. So that's all I'm gonna say.
I mean, it's okay to play.
Not Zamunda. What's the name of it? Not Zamunda. What's that?
Wakanda.
Wakanda ain't real though. Yeah, that's like Zamunda.
I'm just saying. I ain't hear nobody talking about T'Challa, Anderson, South Carolina behind.
Hey, real. I feel like you had some commentary. What's up?
Oh no, I was listening like that. I mean, though I guess when we get to the actual question of like what is Black culture, I think I have a little bit more to say. But like based on the conversation and the way we're having it, like there is definitely a difference. You know what I mean? That there's definitely a difference, especially like I've seen it in my personal life. Though they said, you know what I mean, they may say they're Black, which I love them to death. You know what I mean? Love them to death, but it's still there's a difference. And I think that like I don't think that's
so I guess moving on, like as we dive into the concept of Black culture, is it fair to say that we'll like just branch that inside the idea of Black American inside, like we'll just put it inside the like FBA terms. Is that fair enough? No, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm trying to find common ground before we talk all over the place. I know how these conversations end up going. Okay. All right. Sounds good to me. Hey, G, load me up with a couple memes, and I'll use this as a launching pad into the actual conversation.
Okay, bet. Look like the timer screen is on.
For all the folks in the chat saying T'Challa is a fictional character, I want to say Morgan Freeman played Nelson Mandela in Invictus. So
that was an American movie. These are American movies. He's not in South Africa taking a role from the South Africa.
Oh, come on, Trey.
That's an important caveat, bro. If we're in Hollywood, if Hollywood is in America, then a Black person playing a role here.
You said you ain't keeping it fair.
Q, you sharing the timer?
Oh, it is. All right, hold on. Let me. We bite.
All right.
I was told recently by by another Black individual about the slow change of Black culture, and they basically was like, the Black community and the people, they used to be such a spiritualized group. Like, we loved Jesus, man. We was up and man, we own gospel. And then it slowly started changing, and we began falling away from that. And now the culture has slipped into something That's disgusting. Oh, you're being so anti-black. How is black culture? Blah, 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 blah. Don't even start with me. Just hear me out. We've gotten to where now people are recognizing the quote unquote the black culture as drug, sex, money, baby daddies, baby mamas, this and that. Why is that the way it is? Now there is the flip side of the good, of the culture that is still there, that is good. But they basically they said their fear is that the bad side is starting to overturn the good side, and that is affecting us as a whole. So I want there to be self-examination to figure out what is black culture. What is black culture now? What was black culture back then? What do we want black culture to be? That is the question.
I got one more for you.
All right, this one's not going to feel so good, but bear with me. So my homeboy, black professional, who I highly respect, tells me about a holiday party he hosted. A bunch of black Greek letter organization members, black professionals, and so forth in attendance. Either way, he asked them a question that apparently had the entire party stuck. So the question he asked and he shared with me, the question was a simple one, but one that most people default answer to, but really can't answer. So here it is. The question was, what is black culture? Now, before you automatically respond with, it's our hair, it's the way we talk, it's the way we dress, the way we create art, music, and dance, and so forth, and all of these things, I'm going to ask you a follow-up question. Is black culture merely a symptom of white oppression? I mean, think about it. Soul food, scraps that were given by enslavers on plantations. We made do with what we had and made soul food. The blues, jazz music, hip hop, all bred out of deplorable conditions and outlets for our pain and sorrows that we created music to. I could go on, but I want to know what you think. Am I tripping, or is there something there? Let me know in the comments, but I told you from the beginning,
We ain't worried about that one. But so again, fellas, that lends us to the launching pad of what is black culture. How do y'all define it? We can start with G, and we can just kind of go around.
Man, it's like I said, it's I think black culture originates in America first and foremost, right? How it originates, it, regionally speaking, it has an impact. Like, so if you grew up in New York versus growing up in Chicago versus growing up in LA or Houston or North Carolina, like culturally speaking, it's not going to be the same experience. That said, though, when you are here in America, I think black culture is defined as the norms that tend to cross, like, no matter where you're from. So whether that be like the style, the language, the food, like we said, the values, even though culturally speaking, we might show up differently, a lot of those values I think are the same across black culture. Like, we ain't over here arguing over jollof rice. You feel me? Like,
Right.
that's not a black culture thing, for example, but black folks will argue about, like,
Who brought the potato salad?
how you put the egg in your mac and cheese. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there are certain things that black folks will argue about because they do things differently, but a lot of this stuff isn't. So I would just say anything that's normative, formed here in the black experience, that's been made normative in any of those different verticals.
Gotcha. So quick
So
little
I got a
sidebar.
question real
I'll say
quick.
we got 30. No, we got over 40, almost 50 in the chat. We will be having last 30 minutes live call in. Make sure y'all stay. We'll put the link in there. We love to hear what y'all perspective is on what is black culture. But yeah, run it up in the chat too. Again, this is not a free show, so we love the super chats, whatever y'all want to kind of give and donate to the cause of having these, intellectual conversations amongst black men that shows that the diaspora and just the FBA is not a monolith. Alex.
I think
Oh yeah,
Rail had a question.
Rail had something. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask a question. So are we gonna talk about like the actual what the culture looks like, or what it actually reveals itself as, or are we trying to talk about like
we
what
gonna get into it all.
Culture is? Oh, okay.
No, so right now I'm asking literally what is black culture today in America?
Okay. I didn't know. I don't know if G answered that question all the way. Maybe he feels like he did. I didn't really get what he felt today's culture, what it looks like.
Yeah, I guess it's different ways to like. I'm defining what black culture is in terms of not what it looks like, but what it encompasses. It's like the things
Gotcha.
that we relate to across, whether it be food, music, language, clothes, fashion, like all these different things go into culture, right? So it's kind of tough to say it's like one or two things, but I think like regardless of where you're from, when you are black in America, culturally speaking, you're going to be able to pick up and keep it moving because culturally speaking, we have certain things in common.
Yeah, for sure.
Rail,
Okay,
what do you think black culture is and what it look like?
What it look like me? Okay, so let me answer the question. I agree with what G said. Like as far as the culture is going to be the dress. It's going to be I think also the language we use, like what do you call it?
Slang.
What do you call it? The slang terms that we use. All of these are a part of black culture. The fashion. Yeah. Let me think. Yeah, food, fashion, our arts. Yeah, I think that I agree with what G said. Yeah, it's pretty much like you say, it's a universal language that we all understand. Whether you're from here or there, it's like you still kind of. It's a yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that's what I have to say on it. It's not like Go ahead. Yeah, you can go to the next person on it.
Gotcha. Alex, what is black culture to you, and how does it manifest itself?
Black culture to me is I'm just gonna take what Google said because they're pretty on point. The arts and other manifestations of human intellectual achievement regarded collectively. And I think that pretty much sums up what I view as black culture. Like I think with someone who's
what does that end up looking like in America?
Well, that's the thing I'm saying. Like when I look at like I work in tech, and honestly, like I don't think we live in a world where culture is this stagnant thing that's only mostly in a geographic area. It's kind of gotten to the point now where culture is something that is happening mostly on the internet. Like not to disparage my FBA brothers and sisters, but like that is a power of the internet. Like people congregated, like hey, like we need to start delineating, and that kind of formed into something that is tangible in real world where there are ADOS chapters everywhere. So ultimately, what I'm saying is like I think black culture has evolved to something that is digital. That's why like you go on TikTok and you don't know if a brother is doing some Afrobeat dance in either New York, California, or Nigeria or Ghana somewhere. So to me, I think black culture has
Americans do the Afrobeat dance is a little different. You could tell when they from the continent.
But like I mean,
it look a little different. They be doing that little thing a little different. I don't know.
I mean, I'm glad you said that because I think like there's idiosyncrasies for everything, but like I think black culture throughout the entire world, like no matter where black people are, it's an amalgamation of like our shared experience, both online, where we were like growing up, the people that we had influences by. And the reason why I say that, like I think oftentimes people kind of bring up soul food, but like we got soul food in the islands. We got soul food pretty much everywhere. And the reason why I'm saying that is like I'm not taking that away from anybody up here, but like,
it is different though, right?
Yeah, what kind of soul food you got in the
Because that's like rice and peas and
like that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
No. Like that's what I'm saying. Like the
nigga, plantains ain't soul food.
No, like not like I'm not
Can't make
talking
no plantain pudding. We want that banana pudding. You know what I'm saying? Like
that is breakfast food. That everything you said is breakfast food. Like fried chicken, collard greens, macaroni. all that
He
stuff.
said
Like
plantain
No
pudding,
plantain pudding though.
that's
Banana
breakfast.
pudding. Like
That's breakfast. That is all breakfast. Like
banana pudding is breakfast?
more like dessert.
That's not
Yeah, what we
soul
talking
food.
See,
about?
like
Come
that,
on, man.
that's the
like,
difference
but
in culture right there.
Like when, like, for instance, right, when you go to like Nana Morrison up the street, like that's no different from the food that my mom and dad would take me to go get after Sunday dinner when I was a little kid in St. Thomas. It's no different from the food that my mom grew up in Jamaica. Like that's what I'm saying. Like at least within the North American.
You said it's no different. What do you mean by that?
Like it's really no
Like
different.
because it's like really, really different though, right?
Not really. Like that's what I'm saying, man.
Like,
I kind of
explain. So like when you went and got that plate from like the spot up in St. Thomas, what was on that plate?
I'm telling you, you had fried chicken,
Okay,
macaroni and cheese, sweet potatoes. We call them yams down there.
Sweet potatoes and yams are not the same. Let's be clear. The two completely different. You can do
collard greens, cabbage.
My brother,
purple
yams
cabbage.
and sweet potatoes are not the same. They just not. They're not.
All right,
Well, it's okay. You just do the own,
It's a
own
fact.
separate
That's a
thing, bro.
scientific fact. Sweet potatoes, actually, shout out North Carolina, the world's home to the most sweet potatoes produced in the world. Like yams are African actually and Caribbean. Like yams don't grow over here. Sweet potatoes do. So that is
I got sweet potatoes in the kitchen. I ain't got yams in there.
I mean, it's the same. It's the same thing. You just call different things. But
no, they're not, bro. They're not the
yes,
same.
they are. Okay,
I'm trying to help you. They're not the same plant. They're not the same vegetable. They're completely two different things.
I know,
a yam is
like,
a yam. Sweet potato is a sweet potato.
All right.
We don't make yam pie.
Oh my gosh. We know. I get it. The same thing you will call a sweet potato or yam is what we'll call it. But like, what I'm ultimately saying, like, kind of like, to kind of go to back to Trey's point, like I think we kind of dating ourselves. Like, ain't nobody wearing Timbs around the world, but like I think it's fair to say, like, I don't think nobody's really wearing Timbs. Period.
Jordan.
All right. I'll kind of give you that one, but like, what I'm trying to get at is like a lot of like the fashion influences that we kind of are referring to is happening kind of mostly up north in New York, with like all these dudes like wearing bell bottoms and big old sneakers and all this shit.
We'll get to that part of it.
Like what I'm ultimately saying is like
New
you
York
see
is not
all them
running
brothers and
culture.
sisters up there. A lot of them are African. A lot of them are Caribbean descent. Like I think it needs to be said, like the mecca of Black culture for me. Like if you're thinking about like the wide world stage from the 90s, a lot of it happened up in New York, and a lot of it is kind of
no more though.
I don't know about that one. Like the Breakfast Club, Hot 97. Like anytime a Black politician wants to talk to someone who's not a pastor, that's pretty much where they're going. So,
Wait,
that's just because that's
again,
media outlet.
If you're saying that and we're kind of going off in tangent, but Breakfast Club's relevancy when it comes down to the pulse of the culture is not 2015-16 anymore. Like they kind of almost are a mouthpiece for the Democratic party in general. And that's who they'll run that through it, and like they'll run like I don't know, like they're almost like for the 40 and up now. Like they've definitely changed when it comes down to like their impact on culture. When was the last time you seen the hottest artist come up to the Breakfast Club? You don't. You just see like Gerard.
I mean, Cardi B was there the other day, you know,
and Ashley Larry or some shit like that. Like they're not them anymore. Like
Charlamagne's a clown, bro.
Like New York doesn't like in all honesty, like the podcast sphere has taken over what used to be the radio run.
For sure.
I think that's fair. I guess like what I'm ultimately saying is it's like for me, when I think of New York, I think of like my grandpa, my grandma, my aunties, and my uncles, like predominantly Jamaican people, and like that's why when you go up New York, like you hear all these really thick Jamaican accents, and nothing really else. Even like Carson Knack, he's a good example.
Never mind, I'll wait.
Like he's a good example of
right,
someone who's West Indian kind of propelling like young people's
We
culture.
don't got no culture though. Like he's a tether.
But speaking of Carson Knack, G, could you share the screen, and then I'll throw this to Trey to talk about culture. This is like one of those D Wade to LeBron on the fast break alley oops right here. But here we go.
Mods who are not cultured at all. Stop dick riding. I don't want to hear, like, when I'm asking general questions, I'm not asking y'all niggas. Stop dick riding. Y'all niggas is black. You're black. You're just black.
Just be yourself and hit them with hey. Also, I just bowed the Anarchy hoodie yesterday. Can't wait finna resubscribe in a little W female viewer. Big 2 months December 9th.
Thank you so much. Bro, you're just fully American. You're African American, bro. That's it. How was that see you in 30? That wasn't an insult. That was strictly, you're black. You're not Trinidadian. You're not Jamaican. You're not African. You're not, word. You're not Ghanaian. You're not Dominican. You're not Puerto Rican.
We need some gunshots for every time you say something, G.
You are American.
I farted so loud.
All right. Yeah, we can get back to it. Like I said, this is Baron Davis throwing it up to Blake Griffin inside the early Lob City days. Trey, what you got?
Well, you set that up, man. Man, the crazy part
is black culture.
Oh, what is black culture? It's what this guy over here is cosplaying while he's talking trash. It's the resistance that built a place for him to come to. You know, it's our celebrations, our inventions, our ingenuity, our music, our style. You know, being comfortable in our own skin and not, you know, like saying like other things are like us. Or like trying, you know, we're just proud of where we are and where we're from. It's all of that together, the amalgamation of like 400 years of resistance against the enemy that we've been fighting since Plymouth Island. You know, so yeah, it's just too much. Like I think a lot of the negativity that we see in our culture today is by design. Like you see where rappers say that they were approached and told to say negative things and be negative, and then also like how they get Sexy Red, who, you know, they try to make her the face of degeneracy by making her, by paying her to say they're putting all this money behind her. You got your Lizzos. So when we have people like that are paid like by outsiders, I think it's tough to really label that black culture because it's not authentic. It's tampered with, you know.
Oh, you're saying that Cardi B is not black culture?
Right. Just like Tyson, that Cardi B, Nicki Minaj, Uncle Luke, Lil Kim, Foxy Brown, all of them are tethers, and then all of them are degenerate. So I think a lot of the degeneracy, if you take away a lot of that,
don't forget Jay-Z.
What about Meg Thee Stallion?
Jamaican.
Who is Jay-Z? My bad.
I don't know. Did he say Jay-Z?
Yeah, Jay-Z's Jamaican.
He's Dominican?
Jamaican.
I never heard Jay-Z was Jamaican, bro.
I mean, if you don't lump all everybody like who's of West Indian descent as degenerate, you gotta put all of them in there, man.
But Jay-Z, I've never heard.
Don't forget Biggie.
I have a question, Trey.
What's up?
So is it that we're going to say pretty much anything, pretty much the negatives of quote unquote black culture we're going to say that these things are outside, since they come from outside of the community, they are not a part of the real culture? Is that what we're saying? Or is that what you're saying?
That's definitely what I'm saying. You can't come from as an outsider and then say I'm black and then this is black culture, and as a black person I'm saying that's my culture. That doesn't mean it's my culture. You know, that's not, because the only reason they're able to get away with that is because we have the same skin complexion and people adopt this mentality of blanket blackness, and in which the service was a service.
The black people that actually do the same things that the people that you're talking about doing, are they a part of black? So let's say is the baby, I don't know that he has any type of, or NBA YoungBoy or any of these like guys. So like I don't think that we can push away the negative and say, oh, it's these people, these tethers are the ones that's making, and the white folk is the ones that's making the black culture look bad, and then everything. Yeah, I don't think that's
Sexy Red straight out of Memphis.
That doesn't even make sense to me.
Meg Thee Stallion from Houston, I think.
Right, and I'm not saying all of them. I'm not saying all of the things in the black community are due to foreigners. I'm not saying that at all. But I do think when you give Megan Thee Stallion the key to the city for twerking, and they give her like the Planned Parenthood award or whatever, abortion or whatever that is. That's crazy. And then when we have outsiders over there trying to push that narrative on our kids, like if you had a son and he was like a kid and a grown man is trying to get him to push drugs on him, they're putting crack in the community, of course, you're gonna tell your son not to take the crack, but you're gonna say just absolve the people that are pushing it on your community of any influence at all, or you're gonna recognize that this is not of us.
Wait, so are you saying that the foreigners are the ones that's pushing like the proverbial crack or the degeneracy on the degeneracy on the black community? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that a lot of them are being used for that. Like Cardi B.
You said a lot of them are used to that?
I'm saying a lot of them are
I'm trying to clarify.
Well, a lot of them are
used for that.
Like when you have a Cardi B, when she's impersonating a black woman, she'll be as ghetto as possible. But when she goes to a Latin Music Award, she turns all of that off. It's because she doesn't respect our culture. And we have people like the Shade Room who are all Africans, and then they racially showcase the most degenerate black behavior, and it's purely toxic. But they don't say anything about all the things going on in their homeland, which is can't hold a candle to FBA. That's why that's when I see a problem with it.
Gotcha. All right. So real quick, I want to make sure that they kind of redirect the conversation a little bit, because I tried to get like that part of it out early. So like right now, let's try and like be very specific to like the FBA version of black culture. And what we think that is, and like if we have critiques or praise of it, let's be specific to that. Because again, I think that where you're at in the conversation probably is like an hour conversation in itself of back and forth. But let's stay to what you think black culture is in general. We'll probably do like another 3 minutes, and then we'll throw into like the next topic and kind of move the conversation forward a little bit. Yeah, G. Not G, Trey. I know I kind of cut you off.
Real quick, like family reunions, Juneteenth, step-in, spades, Memorial Day, black churches, like barbecue, is everything. All of our inventions, like elevator doors, home security, light bulbs, like all of the funk, jazz, blues, rock and roll, everything we invented. Like I think that's black culture. This degeneracy, I think all culture has the degeneracy, and if we're talking degeneracy, black culture is the least degenerate culture in the globe. Because if you look over in like in India, where they're putting their faces in doo-doo pies, and like I'm not knocking, not everybody. But I'm saying I've seen videos. I'm sorry. I'm getting out of pocket. I've seen videos of things that they do overseas, like different type of weird meat set. My bad. I'm triggered by what's that politician that was running that was talking real down FBA culture, the Republican that just got put out the race. Like he was really railing on FBA
talking about Vivek Ramaswamy.
Vivek, right. So they went on the road like talking about like saying his cousins in India, and they were talking about all the weird stuff going on over there. And then when you look in Asia and all the stuff that they eat is kind of weird, different culture, even like
that when they chocolate pie.
When they were like in China, when they had the one-child policy, so they had rampant infanticide. And then when you have in Africa with the civil wars and everything, and then you have in Europe where they had
Trey. Let's stay focused. We're gonna stay focused on FBA, right? Let's focus in real quick. Gotcha. And I want to piggyback my next question off of where you were at, and I'll ask this. So as you said, whether it's blacks, whites, Hispanics, Italians, Anglo-Saxons, whatever you want to say, poor and working class, any of them tend to exhibit a lot of the same behaviors. If you listen to Time and Soul, he'll speak about like the European cracker and how a lot of their like original like traditions and culture ended up being adopted by like quote unquote like slave culture XYZ. And that's like it's an indicative thing of economic and socioeconomic status. So I'll ask this question to y'all. Do we blame blacks for like is there an issue with black culture, or is it that we blame black culture on low socioeconomic like culture in general, where blacks end up being the scapegoat of low socioeconomic culture? Whoever want to answer this, or I can throw
It
it to
sounded like
somebody.
Rel about to say something.
Yeah, what I was gonna say is that I actually listened to Thomas Sowell as I was, kind of thinking about the question. What he was doing is he was saying that like the black ghetto, quote unquote ghetto mindset is pretty much the same as the white redneck culture.
Redneck, yeah, redneck.
Yeah. So, and the thing is that I'd say, and my bad, ask that your actual question one more time. That little point right there kind of stood out to me when you said that. Your
Damn,
question
I kind of
was,
freestyled it, to be honest. But
oh, okay,
it's are blacks to blame for low socioeconomic culture, or are blacks the scapegoat of
okay,
low socioeconomic
scapegoat.
culture? That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Right, right. So I think that, we also I think that we also want to think about what the average income is for black people. That would kind of, because I think it is definitely socioeconomic. But one thing that's different with black culture is that even you would see like a middle class kid that still wants to be from the quote unquote rough, rugged. You know what I mean? This whole idea of, and I think that that's a little bit of the difference between like the redneck versus the black culture thing. Because you'll see a middle class boy that still wants to emulate the quote unquote ghetto, or where, you know what I mean, the more hood or rugged side of the black community. Um,
Mhm.
so I think that it is socioeconomic, but I think that our culture runs a little bit deeper than it does in some of the other, and which I don't like to compare black people, especially when we talk about like I don't really like to the truth of everything. I don't really like to compare us to, like, especially not white people. Because if we're gonna sit here and talk about everything they done, why would we compare ourselves to them and act like that's gonna be a anywhere to go anywhere forward? It doesn't make sense. Um, I think that as far as, okay, yeah, I'll just stay there for now.
Okay,
Um,
gotcha. Alex, I'll ask you the same question. Do blacks get scapegoated for low socioeconomic culture in general?
um, I don't think necessarily scapegoat's the right word. I think unfairly the more correct word is associated. And um, for me, I think that's mostly due to the fact that in America and honestly all over the world, like there really isn't that many black owned media institutions, and of the black targeted ones, like, like Ryan Seacrest is in the background somewhere, kind of telling people what they can and can't say. So it's we don't, and I'm saying we, because like everybody who looks like me, we really don't get to control what we say and how we say it. But uh, I think there's things in our community that we need to fix, but like I don't think that we're any more bastardized than in the other culture. I think that with hip hop music, I think people need to understand like hip hop music is probably like one of the biggest exports entertainment wise around the world, and we're not the only one listening to it. Honestly, like I don't even think we're the largest demographic that's consuming it. So I think it's more important to say like I think that's all they really want to see us as. Like if we not slamming the basketball or having our blickies, is that what the youngins call them, putting the blickies in the camera and all that stupid shit. Like I don't think anybody really cares. Like if anything, you cause more trouble as a black person when you're being subversive to like anyone's expectations of you. Like if you talk a certain way, if you graduated from school, if you like, the other day I got pulled over by the police and like he was like, license and registration, you dirty, 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 dirty. I'm like, am I being detained? And he was upset that I said that. I pulled out all the legal words and he let me
You
off with a
you
warning.
was doing the wrong thing. You was doing like what them hoteps used to do in like 2014, where
Yeah, I
they
was
be
like, am I
like,
being
Be
detained
careful,
or
I
am I
bro.
am
free to go?
I
And
am
he
not
ain't had
a
nothing to say. He was like,
I'm a
shit.
sovereign citizen. Boy, if
He
you
put
don't
on the whole fucking like ticket. He was like,
Take
boy,
your
if your
sovereign
shit
ass
is
to jail.
clean, stay
Yeah.
out the way, boy.
but yeah, like it's
That shit
just
is
one
for
of those it's just one of those things. Like,
Yeah.
I know everybody like to rag on Sexy Red, but like, I think Sexy Red is more prevalent to us because we're black and we hear it all the time. But like, what's the difference between Sexy Red and Courtney Love back in the 90s or any raggedy person who wasn't black? Like, I think what we're associating more so with black culture is more so young culture. And I think it's unfair that hip hop is an all encompassing thing of the black community, but like, hip hop is a young person thing, like all of us on this panel, like I think we're 30 and above. And like, I don't think that like when we think about like I'm about to go out tonight and like we're going to the what is it, like the Laugh Factory in Charlotte, or we going to the Erica Badu concert, or
Oh, no,
Raphael
I'd be
Sadiq came
lit
to
at the
town and
Erica
we
Badu
want to hear him
concert.
sing
No
something.
lies.
Like I think we need to do a better job of showing like, hey man, Kai Cenat and Sexy Red and Sukiyana and all the like, that's what them young folks like. And like I think it's fair to say like, hey, like young people are always gonna like, degenerate stuff. That's a part of growing up, But that's all I got.
Yeah. So in general, you would say yes, that they kind of get
He said
looped
no.
in
Yeah.
with just like general low socioeconomic shit. Trey, I don't think we haven't heard from you yet. Yeah, Trey.
Oh no, I agree with surprisingly, yeah, I agree with everyone saying it is based on socioeconomic behavior. Anywhere you'll find poverty, you'll find an elevated crime rate. Anywhere across the globe, any nation, anywhere like that. And then I also don't want to rag on Sexy Red too bad because I know that she's being like they're putting money behind her. My only concern with her is like I don't like when our women are kind of like the face of the degeneracy and they like roll her out to like push the envelope more. And I don't like how like when I see it kind of pushed on the kids, and then for young girls thinking that is acceptable.
Get them
That can
sexy.
yeah, but then you'll see a group of white girls. It's catchy. I don't know I mean. It is what it is as far as that goes. But as far as us being the face of the gender, I think it's a problem because it makes us look like they try to make us look like these beasts that they can scapegoat for all the degeneracy in the nation and everything like that. And then when you realize behind that there's somebody that's pulling the puppet strings and all that, that's the part that gets real like. I mean, it's like that's demonic, man. You can't just be behind the scenes pushing somebody out there. And real quick, I think that no other group really allows their culture to get like drugged through the mud. So I'm glad to see that y'all are saying this is not black culture. This is, the kind of like the underclass, or not the underclass, people that, is associated with a socioeconomic behavior. And it's not a
Well,
reflection
Trey,
of
I got
collection.
bad news. I think that we're gonna move into an accountability section. You might not like that part, but G first.
Please, sir.
G first. What? I'd love for you to answer the question.
Yeah, I mean, like I think if we're gonna be fair, how can it not somewhat be a part because of what black people have had to endure from one generation to the next, right? So, for example, certain words, like, it was illegal to be literate. So the way we say certain words culturally is because we could not be literate, right? And so we create new ways of saying stuff, right? Same thing with the redneck culture, for example. Like, why do they sound the way they sound is because not because they couldn't be literate, but because a lot of them were illiterate, and hence the language got passed down. We couldn't be educated. We couldn't do a lot of stuff. And so our normal life until recently wasn't this accepting where you're going to get an education. We're going to make sure you have resources and all this stuff. So I think a lot of our culture is a reflection of taking lemons and making lemonade, taking intestines and cooking up them chitlins, taking something that, the rose that grew from concrete for lack of better words, like that it to me is black culture. It is somewhat shaped by the black struggle in America. And, I don't know. And, I wouldn't say it's just a socioeconomic thing, but because of the caste system, it's kind of hard to not say that doesn't have a huge impact on what we identify with culturally.
Gotcha.
I got one thing I wanted to add real quick. I think one sentiment that G and Trey kind of said, like, maybe I'm wrong, but it sounds like this is just my perspective, but like, why do we feel we have to clean house in order to like, I don't know, clean house period? Like, man, there goes Sexy Red again. Like, ah, man, there go Kodak Black doing Kodak Black shit again. Like, why do we always feel this urge that we have to clean house or like we gotta straighten up things?
No, I like
It's like,
Sexy Red. Young lady is doing her thing.
but I mean,
I,
not
I,
necessarily like that you said that, but like what, like I guess like what I'm ultimately saying, like if you go all the way back to like in time, like where black people were wearing suits and like they didn't leave the house unless they was in their Sunday's best, like they was still getting dog sick on them, like they was still getting like, for instance, like my dad, he went to high school in Brooklyn and they were throwing bricks at his bus because they wanted to integrate him into the school. Like I don't think there's any benefit to us like cleaning up the house or like feeling that we have to do some performative, like, all right, y'all, let's stop being degenerates. Like, I don't, if we're being the most ideal minority or being like what they think of us as this most stereotypical way, I don't think it serves us either way on any front.
man, it's not that. It's just that I like us to have some dignity and pride. When I see the old pictures of the generation before us when they were dressed in like the women were dressed like elegantly and they had the debutante balls and like everyone was striving to be like this they moved in such an elegant manner. And then when I see that the people that are the most degenerate are basically like impoverished minorities who are dancing for paymasters that don't look like us, then I see a problem with it. It's not like I want to just do good for white people. I just want to see us. I think our natural form is not like degeneracy. And also when I see like
Got you.
little kids dancing and stuff like that, that's when it's like I don't want the next generation of guys to be following after a lot of this other stuff. I don't want our young ladies to be thinking a lot of this stuff is cool, like twerking in front of a Plan B store or whatever, or Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess I got a quick meme to that kind of applies to where we're at in the conversation. I'd love to get your reaction to it, and then we can kind of move the conversation a little bit further. Or better yet, I'll use this as a launch for the next one. And I'll go ahead and play it. G, if you can pull it up, it's really quickly. Really quick.
I don't know if I'm the first person on the internet, whatever. It's probably people are saying this, but this needs to be said. We have to separate black culture from hood culture. Mm-hmm. They are not the same thing. When somebody's sagging their pants and talking in an ignorant way, I don't say that that's black culture. That's hood culture. That is not being black.
Hey, Dad.
All right, so I'll throw this question out to the panel that kind of piggybacks off that a little bit in the space that we're at. Do you think that there is a value issue within black culture?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Anybody else?
Value culture, I mean value issue compared to who?
Not compared to
Just-
anybody.
No comparison. No comparison.
You have to. You have to.
No.
They point their fingers at us. And
No.
then
But we just in house right now. It's like is
Not
it a
talking
value
about
issue?
dates.
Not in comparison to nothing else. Just on just with the kids standing on business. Like, is there an issue or not?
no, there's not. Like, why do black people have to be held to a higher standard than everybody else?
I don't think they do. That's
We
not the
are,
question.
though. But I mean, when you say there's a value issue, and and then I feel like we have the best values out of anybody, and then other people point their dirty fingers at us with their degenerate culture, and then we have black people with internalized self-hate who just.
I love my nigga Trey. Hey Trey, because I know you about to go. Hey G, if you can give me the timer at the bottom of the screen.
Cue it up.
And again, yeah.
I'm saying, cue up the timer.
Yeah, cue it up. And this what I love to hear everybody kind of give like a quick 2-minute response to the question. And we can kind of go from there. I think that this is going to kind of be where we get a lot of the fruit of the conversation from, I'm sure. So Trey, I want to end with you again. I'm gonna start with G. We can kind of go around the horn. Like I know your opinions are strong, so I'm excited for this one.
So
G,
if we gonna say values, right? Like when we talk about culture, we've already established that one, there's a lot of different elements that make up culture, right? So we're not talking about like necessarily across, but I can be very specific in where I say when you look at Black culture, the values should be better. And I think Black culture, when you look at monetary, just management, financial management, it needs a shift just by the way of the statistics of the average amount of savings that Black Americans tend to have. And I'm not even comparing to others. I'm just saying just what I tend to see from a statistic standpoint, what we own, and our ability to build wealth. I'm talking about generational wealth. I'm just talking about while you hear wealth. Mm-hmm. I think that we don't put as high a value in America, which is a capitalist country. Like, in my opinion, if we're gonna really stake our claim here, we have to understand how this was constructed and value being masters of that game, in my opinion. And I don't think we put high value on mastering how to take full advantage of these institutions that are in place. That's my opinion.
Alex, is there a lack of value in Black culture currently?
No, I don't necessarily think so. I don't think there's a lack of Black values.
Or values.
Lack of values in the Black culture. I think honestly, like, this platform is a really good example of that. Like, anywhere you look, there's Black people that look like us that are starting podcasts. They're, being aldermen. They're going out there. I think we need to be, as Black people, we need to start highlighting those people around the globe who are doing that. And I understand what G's saying with, like, in terms of, like, wealth, but, like, if you ask any investment banker, worth their salt, like, there's one thing to have the knowledge, it's another thing to have the capital to do something with that knowledge. And like, unfortunately, due to the situation that, a lot of my FBA brothers and sisters, inherited, like, I mean, you can have all the knowledge in the world. Like, you can know how a 401k works and an index fund, but
if you don't value, I got to interject there, because you talk about value, right? Like, knowledge is one thing, but caring enough to do different. So when you know better, you should do better. And unfortunately, financially speaking, people don't pay themselves first. They don't make sure they have savings, emergency funds, their credit. They don't treat it, culturally speaking, it's not treated the way it should in our community, even though they know they should. They know they need credit to own. They know they need credit to do business, but yet we don't put the emphasis from a value system in making sure our culture has great credit. That's not a cultural value, for example.
Like, I get what you're saying, G, but, like, I think if you were applying that critique to, like, someone like me, like, like, I grew up with both of my parents. I went to private school. Like I'm a pretty, I wouldn't say affluent, but, like, I'm pretty much as close as you can get to it with my background. Saying that to me is one thing, but, like, saying that to, like, someone who's grown up in poverty, like, they're, like, literally their parents abandoned them, and, like, the best hope they have is a nice lady up the street with food stamps taking care of them. Like, I'm not saying that, like, as some, like, far off thing. Like, that's literally something that happens in my family, like, on my wife's side. So to say, like, hey man, y'all not saving money, y'all not doing this, y'all not doing that, it's like, how can you? Like, you're in survival mode. Like, you don't even have the bandwidth, you don't even have the space to, like, I get that, G, but, like, if you don't even have the means to survive, it's very hard to say, like, hey man, you gotta pay yourself. If
you don't have the means to survive, you better not be fresh. Your wardrobe better reflect you can't survive.
Like that's who, like, luxury
your car should reflect you can't survive.
But that's who luxury items are targeted to, G. Like, they're not targeted to rich people. They targeted the people who are poor, because.
But don't tell me people don't have money. You in the club. You like, don't tell me you don't have money if you still doing stuff for fun, if you still buying like things that aren't necessities. Like people will waste money on things versus have discipline to not spend the money and do their best to save. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying that it's easy. But for example, culturally speaking, there are cultures who come to America and they pull together, they live together, they find ways to make cost of living lower so that they can find ways to pull together resources, and they'll send money back home, for example, and then they'll create a system for people to come over for them. Like they value that. As Black Americans, we could value that more, but we don't. That's what I'm saying.
But that's what I'm saying, G. Like it's very hard to have that wholehearted critique for like the Black community, and honestly, like less fortunate people in general. Like when we live in a country that, like, if anything has fucked up values, it's America. Like honestly, like you have to work to have insurance, to be sick, to be able to bleed out in a hospital bed that may or may not, like bankrupt you. If it's not that, like, not even that, like, the number one thing that's gonna, raise a lot of people out of poverty is education, and a lot of people don't even have access to that. Like from K to 12 or even beyond that. So I think, like, I get what you're saying, but like I don't think it's very fair for people who are less fortunate to kind of put this on them, because like, at the end of the day, like trying to survive, and after being deprived of like centuries and centuries of like housing, freedom, literacy, everything, like it's very hard to like
fellas,
yeah, my bad.
Yeah, gotcha. So Rail, same question.
Yes, and I apologize again. I'm listening to everything they're saying, and so like I can't remember exactly where the question landed.
Is there a value issue with Black culture? Is there a values issue with Black culture?
I'd say yes. And then I do agree. It's like I agree kind of, and then I don't agree with the victim mentality. So like I understand, Alex, especially you not necessarily being, you know what I mean, from like and I'm not trying to exclude you in any way from the conversation, but with it's I find that a lot of people that like are more in adopting the Black plight, like they're a lot more lenient, I believe, because it's hard to like really, you know what I mean, hold accountable when you're not necessarily from that actual, you know what I mean, that plane of things. So what I would say is that the accountability, we definitely have a low level of like the things that we value are definitely like not things that will push us forward. Um, I think that we fall too much to victimhood. Um, and then it's crazy to me because we'll sit there and like Trey just talked about how the women and the men presented themselves a certain way, and I'm assuming he's talking about like prior to 1960, and the way that they presented themselves, they had a value system, they had community, they had these different things that, you know what I mean, made them stronger. And then now we'll talk about us today, and then we'll go all the way back to like slavery. To me, that doesn't make sense. So people that were closer to the time frame of it, they were pulling them. You know what I mean? They were actually building their community and actually presenting a certain way. And then we're further from the actual time period, and now we're somehow more affected. No, I think that there is definitely a value a value issue. I think that we really at this point like, and it's definitely American. The thing that I agree with is that it's an American. It's like the Black American experience. Like it's the victimhood thing, and then it's like the idea that we want to be so inclusive of bad habits and bad ideas and bad decisions that you don't want to judge people and like, you know what I mean. It's I think that the way that we're thinking is very counterproductive. It's like when you say like when G said the Hispanics, you can see that they're moving as a community. They don't necessarily, of course, they you can see them drinking and driving every single day, and I live in a neighborhood where I'm actually.
But to be fair, and just to interject real quick, like if you're comparing wealth from community to community, like we still make more money than the Hispanic community. So like our values can't be that like off to the point that like I don't think it's a value thing. Like I think historically, if you're looking at things, like your zip code that you were born in has more say in your success moving forward. And like this is not my opinion. Like this is like, anthropology. This is science. Like your zip code that you're born in has more influence on the like how you're like your success when you grow up. So it can't be a value thing. Like for instance,
how do you get to a different zip code?
How do you get to a different zip code?
Yeah.
It's one thing if you, the parent, moves your child there, but what about the kid who doesn't have a say? Like you just born into poverty. Like,
but even the parent, or just the parent, like how do you lift your family from one zip code to the next?
You gotta hustle. But like that's what goes. But this, listen, G. It goes back to my point. We cannot depend on exceptionalism to essentially be the end all be all of everyone's success in the community. Like nobody
being financially literate is not exceptional.
Yeah, exactly. See, you're going a little
being
bit too
financially
extreme.
literate is not exceptional.
No, being literate is not exceptional. But thinking that someone born into abject poverty is going to rise from the ashes like a phoenix.
No.
That
We
is
said, but you made abject poverty normal in Black culture. I didn't say that. I said Black culture. I'm not talking about only the poorest of poor people. Like look, I am the first person on one side of the family to finish high school. Okay, not college. Finish high school. There's a value issue on education, for example, when I'm the first to finish high school. Do you understand what I mean by that?
It's a value thing. Like I think it really is like
that's not a value thing.
No, you're saying you're saying the Black condition in America is our own doing.
No, I'm not.
That sounds like what you're saying.
No, that's what you're saying.
Yeah. Surprisingly, Alex is the most on-code person in this panel full of FBA.
Look at that.
I don't care about
you and Trey agree on something.
I know you don't care about no code. You just said you got finished listening to Tommy Soul. He's the well-known coon. So I mean, if you're getting your talking points from him.
At the end of the day, bro. See, and this is the thing. Like, it's so funny.
See that? It's
so funny.
Go ahead.
It's so funny that when we. Oh, Trey, go ahead. My bad. Go ahead.
Oh no, that was me. I was saying, go ahead.
Oh, I thought you. Okay. What I'm saying is that, like, bro, and this is my only thing. Like, because you get criticism. And this is one of the things that I actually feel that shows so much of the fact that our value system is to the detriment, is that because you get criticism, then all of a sudden now somebody got to be a part of a coon society, and a nigga got to be all kind of different things. At the end of the day, like if you eliminate the comparisons from other communities and we sit here and just talk about what we're doing and what we can do better and what it will take to do better. At the end of the day, if you keep on trying to make people feel good about the fact that, oh yeah, well then let's blame the white man and let's wait on the white man to give us reparations so that we can then do better. Like, bro, this is not at the end of the day, that is not what it's gonna. Go ahead.
Like, bro, just like a real quick question, bro. Do you know anybody like right now that will give you a small loan of $1 million? Like just anyone?
A fucking small loan? No. That's not a
small
loan.
That's the point I'm making.
That's an oxymoron. A small loan of $1 million? Like I don't even understand what that means.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
you're using like a very high outlier
small
situation.
loan of $1 million, my nigga.
That's what I'm saying.
That's not uncommon.
Anytime you talk about extremes, it's like counterproductive.
All right, so hold on. So really quick, just I guess if we're gonna kind of like I'm gonna try and bring it back to a central point, or maybe not, because I disagree with the small loan thing. So do y'all think that 95% of Americans at whole can give a small loan of $1 million?
Hell no.
This is not a race thing. This is not an anything thing. Do you think that 95% of Americans in general can give a
No, but I think
$1 million
95% of the
loan?
people who no, but I think 95% of the people who can are white, if not 99 to 100% of the ones who can
Right,
are
but
white.
but all right. So again, now like now and again we're really, because I said 95, but it's really only 1%. But we're talking about a 1% and like ignoring a 99% inside like the conversation. So when we give like these exaggerated like rebuttals to the conversation, I think that it pushes it way more into the extremes.
Like,
instead of like actually having a grounded conversation.
I gotta respond to Trey too, because I want to be, because you said I'm saying that we do this to ourselves. I just want to make sure what I got your accusation correct.
That's what it sounds like you're saying. It sounds like you're saying that the black people's condition is because of our values. It's not has nothing. Doesn't have to do with white supremacy. And if we would just do like other races, then we would be able to lift ourselves up.
I'm not comparing to other races. Y'all are comparing to other races.
But
I want to be
clear on that.
No.
All right, so hold on. So I'm gonna put the timer up. So Trey, allow G to answer, and then I'll give it back to you. I'm not
comparing to other races. I want to just be clear. I'm not comparing to other races. I'm saying in terms of just what I feel as a black community, where the standards we should hold ourselves to, like we have to create the standard. And what I'm saying is that my example of the first person to somehow finish high school, okay, in 2020 or 2005, with so many generations before, I'm talking just high school. And the reason why others didn't finish is not because they couldn't, it's not because they didn't have the tools. It wasn't because they didn't have the access. They literally didn't value the experience. Like,
not because of slavery.
No. Hold up. It is in large part. No, it is in large part because their grandparents, because they're like, my father said, like, basically there was no need to go to school. We had to work. So that's why we didn't necessarily finish. Now, but for the generations after that, like I'm talking about people my age, like born in the millennial age, I have older people who came before me who still didn't finish. And it wasn't because they didn't have the opportunity to. It was because the home didn't value, yo, what are you doing here? You got to go finish. Yo, why are you skipping? No, you got to go to school. Like that wasn't a value. And so that's what I'm saying. Like that should change as a whole. We should value people finishing school versus allowing people to not, in my opinion.
Agreed. So Trey, I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna give you maybe a minute. I do have a very similar experience to G, in which I come from a neighborhood, like not even just a family structure, in which even within my family structure, my older brother, he was the first one within that family structure to graduate high school. Well, not necessarily graduate high school, but as like the literal siblings that were around, everybody else dropped out before him. In the neighborhood, he was the first one in our neighborhood to make it past 9th grade. Most of the other guys in the neighborhood also were like, their parents just didn't care. And it wasn't like a big thing. So like you made it to 9th grade, you can kind of just fuck around and just do whatever you wanted to. And it was something that I definitely noticed and seen as a young person, and was like, this is a interesting thing when it comes down to, like being 14, 15 years old, and like the value that we're placing on success in education in general, as like the neighborhood and the family structures in general. But Trey, your answer or your rebuttal to what G said.
Sometimes it feels like, sometimes I see a lot of black people who lift themselves up above the collective. It's almost like they get off on saying like, the reason that y'all aren't here is because y'all just didn't do what y'all are supposed to do. And I think that mentality is kind of like, I look at them as kind of like fallen soldiers under a system of white supremacy. Because when you look at your Elon Musk, Bezos, Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, and then they run these companies and they cater to white people. So it's not just the ones at the top. Most rich people inherit their money. They didn't just get it from like pulling up from their own bootstraps, and it's old money too. And
That's not true.
That
That's
is
not
true.
The majority of millionaires did not inherit their money. That's a fact.
Yes, they did.
No. You could go look it up. Go look up all the millionaires. Over 70% of millionaires are first generation. That's
I'm talking
a fact.
about generational wealth, not millionaires. Like generational wealth. Most people that have generational wealth did not get that wealth.
What's generational wealth and you ain't no millionaire? Like what kind of wealth? Like what does wealth start? I'm curious.
Hey, man, if you got $5 million, you the tallest midget.
Oh, here we go. So 5 million ain't even no money now in this
not the rich
conversation.
people. Nah, not really. Not the rich people.
No, it's not.
We're rich
You're
enough.
not making any decisions.
We critiquing Drake and Rick Ross right now.
Come on, man. Most millionaires are first generation. That is a fact. Just the majority of millionaires are first generation. That is a fact.
But Trey, going directly to like a statement that you just made. So do you think that the perspective of an outsider is more valuable than that of somebody that has had like first person perspective on what it actually is, what the issues is, and like I'll just leave it at that.
I would say that
because you said that you look at people that have came from like these scenarios as fallen soldiers, when they speak about what they believe it would actually take for the community to be better.
I would say that people that come from a scenario, they may have a skewed vision of like, if you're accustomed to people that have that mentality, those are usually the ones that talk bad on like black people because that's what they're accustomed to. Versus like, I'm the least educated person in my family and I have a bachelor's degree. So I see people like, I don't see black people as like needing to work harder to be successful. I see black people that I know that if they had old money, like a lot of white people in America, like black people are very inventive. Like we have our ingenuity. We have. Do you like think
that you being like a generational middle class person, if not even like and especially like higher middle class black, skews your perspective on what like the prescription for a lower class working class black family and like neighborhood would actually need to
I see these white people
up by the bootstraps?
I see these white people that are doing well and their values are not so crazy good. Like both of my parents had good jobs and they didn't have the same things in my neighborhood that the white guy who was an engineer and his wife was a stay-at-home mom, they had way more like toys and gadgets and bigger nice things in their home and all of that. And it wasn't because they worked harder, because my parents worked damn hard. But it's just a different situation. The people on my soccer team, like my parents had great jobs, and they were telling me that I can't.
But you're comparing like level 3 of Maslow's hierarchy of needs instead of like being on the bottom level where you're just surviving. And like the general scope of surviving looks way different. And
the average.
Go ahead. I'm just listening to your rebuttal.
Well, I would say like if you look at a trailer park,
like if you're comparing toys to like a literal like impoverished neighborhood where nobody has nothing and you're eating sleep for dinner, like I think it's a little different.
What I'm saying is black people have a larger percentage of us that are in this situation. And it's because when you look at the generational wealth that's been stripped from us, a lot of us wouldn't have to worry about this. Show me when they went and burned down Chinatown and took all their wealth, or show me when the migrants are coming over here and they're giving them free money and housing and stuff that black people never got. And then it's all with our tax dollars. Meanwhile, the country was built off of what was stolen from us. So you're trying to say that our fight in this is going to be anywhere comparable to these people that maybe values would help for them, but it's not our values, it's our situation. And people with that socioeconomic situation are no different than people in the trailer park, where you may see a lot of this behavior. But we have a larger percentage of them doing that, but that doesn't mean that that's the reason that they're there.
I don't think the reason they're there is what we're saying.
We'll go to you, Real, after this.
The reason why something doesn't change the fact that it needs to change. Like that's just the bottom line. Like there are a lot of reasons why things are the way they are, but they
Description
need to
versus
change.
the solution. Yeah.
They need to change. Like they should not remain the same because it's you see where it's gotten us thus far. Do we? So the question is, like they say insanity doing the same thing, expecting a different result. So if we're looking to get something different, do we need to keep doing what we're doing, or do we need to change? Like that's my point. So it's like, if we're trying to advance as a whole, we don't need to, like, in my opinion, stew too much on the reason why, but figure out how to move it forward. Like the reason why is important, and I think we agree, but it's like, okay, that can be true of all these reasons why, but does it change the fact that we need more educated Black folks? We need more financially savvy Black folks. Like, we need to focus more on wealth building in the community. We need to be focused more on taking advantage of these institutions that are in place. Like, we can't do these things with the old methods, in my opinion.
Hey, shout out to the chat. The chat is going crazy right now. But I do want to give to Rail before you go, Trey.
Yeah, let me jump in after that.
Yeah, I'd say like, and this is Q. You already know. Like, I think that the big thing is that, and this is what I think is a part of Black culture that I think we need to kind of think about and rethink is the level of victimhood. And even like with this
You were
whole FBA
victimized,
thing,
bro.
I've been trying. Listen. I'm not a victim. I wasn't victimized.
Allow him to finish it out. Yeah.
Yes, I was a victimized,
y'all have the
bro.
back and
Like,
forth.
at the end of the day, like for me, I think that if we continue, the more you keep doubling down on the victimhood, it's not productive. It's not
So
productive. It
that you a
hasn't been
Holocaust
productive.
survivor. Like,
It doesn't matter. What I'm
no, but hear
saying is
me
that
out.
listen, you're trying to talk about different people. I'm talking about Black people. And then the things that I noticed that a lot of people that have the stance that you're on, they keep on going to divert to other people and continue to double down on the fact that we are the biggest victim.
Bro,
What
but if you
I'm
think
saying is
about
that
it,
I understand that I understand institutional racism. Like, when you
no,
sit
you
there and
don't,
talk about
bro.
like Navy Federal, can I finish? When we sit here and talk about like Navy Federal just got charged with the whole not giving out the loans to the Black people that qualify for the loans. I worked at Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo has hella lawsuits that dial back to predatory loans to Black people. I understand that part. I understand like the bigger picture and the idea that I was in the military, so you go back to the GI Bill. You know what I mean? The Black soldiers, they weren't able to get the GI Bill. The white soldiers did. So you look at the house prices back then, you get a house with 20 grand. These people are actually passing down generational. I understand that part of things, right? But I don't think that, and that's to me, I don't think that the money is going to solve our problem either. I think it is based in
I
value.
disagree.
I think it's based in, and you
just,
can disagree. You can disagree, but I think my clock's still running. I would say that the money's not the issue. We also have to go ahead and build a community, not based
with
in the
no
fact
money.
that, oh, we're trying to get you don't got, bro, to build a community. It's been poor people that's been poor forever that
30
have a
seconds.
community. You don't need a community. You don't need money to build a community. You need people that give a fuck about each other, that have a similar value system that's for each other to build a community. And then once you get the community, then you can actually, the money doesn't help without a community. That should just mean a whole bunch of people that's just gonna give the money back to the motherfuckers that gave you the money, and it doesn't make sense. So like, and I understand 30 seconds. So like, yeah, I don't agree with the victimhood thing. I think that it's gonna be a system that we need to get together within ourselves, and then whatever benefits we get from the outside, if it should come, then it will actually be a benefit. Otherwise, we throwing good money out to the bad.
Shout out Mike TV. Rail is not he's not a caller. He's a regular on. Well, he's a part of the cast in general, but regular on the To Be Fair show. He just ain't got his picture up. I don't know what he doing. But Alex, this is on you, my boy.
Yeah, that's it.
What you got?
Yeah, just to kind of like bridge the gap. What Rel is saying is you don't need money to build a community, and you are 100% right. We could be dirt poor, got nothing, like no nickels to rub together, and we can be.
Everybody else still there?
Yeah,
That's
we here.
crazy.
Yeah.
That's the part you picked. Go ahead.
No. But listen, like we can be
That's
dirt
what you
poor and be a
said.
community, but like we're not talking about being a collective. We're talking about progressing, and essentially, why are we doing this? And why every time we talk about this, we comparing ourselves to other folks? But like, I mean, ultimately, in the inverse, that is what you're doing. Like, you are saying like we are here, and X person is there. Why aren't we doing what they're doing? And I think it's very irresponsible to have these conversations without taking into account that it's very hard to do things that other communities were doing and are doing when like you're essentially like you essentially had your shoes tied for pretty much like the last few centuries. So only now we're finally getting to the point where we're kind of catching up, but it's I think it's somewhat disingenuous to kind
But
of like
how do you solve the problem?
we
It's,
are solving.
and
But like that's the thing. That's the thing.
Money.
Well,
Okay.
hold on.
let
We
me.
are wait. We are solving the problem. I think the problem is like people are upset that we're not solving it fast enough, or we're not getting to a solution fast enough. And I think the Black community is. I think we have gotten as far as we're going to get off of just sheer ingenuity and hard work and determination and elbow grease. But the thing that the final ingredient that is missing is the generations worth of wealth stolen from people who look like us. Let's not even bring up slavery, right? Just the simple fact that people like my dad's age and my grandma's age were able to get houses. Buying a house is the number one generator of wealth for the average person. And you cut a whole
Facts.
swath of those people out of that equation. No, man, like you're not gonna get the same outcomes that the people who got to participate in that. It's just not accurate to
So
it's not complaining, it's not crying, it's to borrow from an old African proverb. It is, my friend, me and you are running a race, and I am already ahead of you, and I am going to give you cinder blocks to hold, and now you have
So
to
how do you
catch
catch
up
up?
to me. Yeah, you can't catch up. Like,
so
I'm
let,
already
It's
ahead of you, and
impossible.
here's some bullshit
okay.
that
And
you got.
I
so
think
You're never gonna catch
I
up.
guess I try not to be like too opinionated, but I guess like I probably disagree wholeheartedly with that general statement. I think that we can catch up. I don't know why we would say that we can't catch up. That's like just a wild statement in myself. I mean,
victimhood.
in itself, to me. But I have like started meddling with this idea. And maybe like this ends up being like an interesting space because of like we do have like pretty much I think everybody in here probably identifies as pretty much middle class. And like for me, when I start thinking about fixing problems, I often get into a space where I start thinking about where I land and how I can fix it. And I think that the middle class black probably is the problem. And like a lot of like the conversation that is happening, especially if you were born in middle class, because of your
Facts.
prescription and solution for what ends up being like what's going to help blacks in general ends up being a little bit like off kilter. And I've seen this like a lot. And it ends up being like really interesting how the most conservative blacks come out of like the struggle
Uh-oh.
Everybody else
a lot
there?
of times.
Yeah, I think Q just froze.
And
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
yeah, I don't know. Like I think that is interesting. Thomas Sowell said like the middle class black pimps out the trauma of the working class black. And sometimes like I literally don't always more times than not I don't agree with Thomas Sowell, but researching like this topic, I ended up getting into like a Thomas
Mm-hmm.
Sowell wormhole. But I thought that was really poignant. A lot of times that I end up seeing it. And I have conversations with my middle class friends, especially my middle class friends that never actually went through poverty. And like I know with me, I literally just came from a funeral of like
Mm-hmm.
black people doing black shit. What my bad. That's a bad way to frame it. Black people
Yeah.
doing horrible shit. And like it was no other blaming but like the people that was inside engaged in the scenario. There wasn't like these conditioning things and like you know what I mean, like it's not important to get deep into it on the internet, but like I think that these end up being like these like really pivotal pieces that a lot of times, if you don't have like boots on the ground and you've seen a lot of like the dissonance in the ideology, that it might end up being like a real disconnect. I'll toss it in there. That was my little monologue.
But like,
Can I respond?
oh, yeah, you got it, Trey. My bad.
Yeah, because I want to respond back to what Rel was saying, because you said we can process socially, economically with no money. And that seems like a contradiction. And you also admit that there's anti-Black systematic racism, but still say our values are the problem. You also admit that what we built was torn down, and you still say our values were the problem. So I think the true victim mentality is recognizing that you've been victimized, then blaming yourself for your condition despite that.
Yeah, and hold on, and Alex, before you go out, because I did have a really big misslip of words. And Mike, I agree. He says Black people doing Black shit. Interesting choice of words. That was conditioning catching up with me and me having to correct myself in real time. I understood that in me saying identifying Black things as negative was incorrect, and that's conditioning in itself. Real, what you got for us?
Yeah, so and then you kind of threw me off, but like I was listening to and just so to be completely transparent, so like I'm a guy that dropped out of high school, right? Got my GED, then went to college, dropped out of college because of some shaky shit, went to the military, came back. But I've been the whole time, like my childhood, I was born in Greertown. If you from Charlotte, you know what Greertown is. And I ain't got to tell all of this. What I'm saying is that like when you like what Q was saying, like it's different to speak from a higher socioeconomic state place, which is when we sit here and think about average, the average Black person is not living the life that you live. And so you can sit and talk about the people that are around you. Hell, if you go to Kroger's and you go to these, on average, this is not the things that like niggas is doing.
But the average person isn't in my position, though. I have a degree, I have an engineering job, and all the other things too. But if I was a white person in that same situation, but I'm saying a white person, but a white person in that same position would have a lot more options than I do. They give each other the pound, the back, and the coat. They bring each other in. People, these corporations look out for each other. We don't have that system in place.
That sounds like a value issue.
And see, the thing is, we also have Black people, but we also have Black people
that's what you explained
that have the opportunity to bring each other up as well.
But how are we gonna bring people into our corporations if we don't own the corporations? That's not a value issue.
Why don't we? Go ahead.
Why don't we have corporations?
Bro, think about it, bro. Like it's plenty of people that get brought on. We already know that like the people you know is more important than what you know. What we don't do is we do not put people in positions that will be above us for sure.
We're not in the position to do that. Is my point. We don't have Black CEOs like that. If the CEO is a white guy and hires a white manager and a white hiring manager all the way down, they're gonna hire white people. That's systematic racism.
So why don't we have corporations?
Because they stole all our wealth, man. What do you mean?
No. So you saying there's no Black businesses? Like there's no Black corporations out there? Like there's no Black enterprises out here trying
to. There are more Black millionaires now than ever existed.
So then why? I thought you said we have a value issue. We have a value issue, then why do we have more Black millionaires than ever existed?
Why do you understand what you're saying? The value issue is
because that rebuttals the point that there's nobody to build themselves up, and like the whole thing of nepotism that you literally just described.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, go ahead.
Okay, well, if we're talking about hiring in these Fortune 500 companies, and you're saying there are some Black millionaires, I get that, but I'm talking about the people that work for all the corporations that I've ever worked for. The majority of people there are white, and they look out for white people. So yes, I know there are some exceptional Negroes, but that doesn't mean that have the same opportunity as these other people out there. And we would have the same opportunity.
How do we create opportunities? Like that's the question. How do we? Why are we trying to create opportunities?
Reparations. June 15th.
Are we just victims of circumstance?
I mean,
so is it just like we victims of circumstance?
Gotta be victims.
We've been
And that's it.
victimized.
Like that's it.
We've been
Like we
victimized.
just
Yes.
victims of circumstance.
I think it's very docile and very weak. Instead, when you recognize you've been victimized, instead of trying to fight back and correct that, you just accept your position and just try to do the best you can what you got. It's like they stomped you out and knocked your glasses off. And you say, "Oh, I'll get better." Nah, man, they knocked your glasses
But Trey,
off.
you don't understand how like what you're saying would be that thing that you're that you're castigating.
Exactly.
Right.
Like what we're saying that like in spite of all that shit, we have to have even better values then, or that we have to do even more because of we understand the history of the country and everything that has happened.
But that's like playing the card game when everyone's cheating, and you just say,
But right now you're the kid with the glasses on.
What game do you play? So are we just defeated? There's no. Are you saying we just
turn the table over and then get your reparations? No other group of people would allow themselves.
So can we not succeed without reparations?
It's not the end all be all.
You said what? My bad. All right. So you said we as black people can't succeed without reparations.
If they took our wealth and they're giving our wealth to other groups that just came in here yesterday while they gave us nothing, then we are at a disadvantage.
That didn't answer the question.
That's not the question. That's not the question.
I want to be
okay.
I said, hold on, Alex, hold on.
It's a simple question.
Do you believe that us as black people can't succeed without reparations?
Bro, we're in a war.
You're not answering the question.
It's a question, bro.
No, we can't not succeed by allowing them to be beating on us and it's not fighting back and just doing the best we can while we're getting beaten on.
And you don't see how that's a victim mentality and you're getting your glasses knocked off right now?
No, because I'm ready to fight back. Y'all are just trying to just do the best you can while y'all got beat up and not try to get some retaliation. Not like physical.
But how are you trying to do the best you can?
You go to work for a white man at a white company taking a white man's check and you telling me that like we not doing our best. Like I'm just trying to understand. Like
you're not doing your best, but I'm saying you need to not blame black people for our condition. We need to go and take back what's ours. And what's ours is this money that they owe and that they got because they're giving it to immigrants.
We agree. But does that gonna? But if we so we agree.
Don't sit on your hands. I'm not saying sit on your hands. If that's what you're getting at.
So if we agree, we need reparations, right? But does that mean that we should just stop everything until we get that? Or should we also be trying to do some other things while pursuing reparations?
We should do other things, but we shouldn't say that the reason we're in this condition is because our values have a problem.
That's not what we're saying, bro.
But we're in this condition is because of systematic white supremacy.
Nobody's saying the reason is because of values. Can we like understand that nobody's saying that? No. Nobody's saying the reason we're here is because of the values. Nobody's saying that, bro. I agree with you in terms of the reason why things are the way they are. If I remember correctly, the original question was, do we need to change values or do we need to improve? Like it doesn't. The question wasn't, are we where we are because of values?
So the original question was, is there a value issue with black people? But I think to what G is saying, that I don't think anybody on this panel believes that inherently black people are like have low values in general. But if we're going to overcome like the literal circumstance that is America for black people, I imagine that our values as a community will be important. But before you go, Trey, I want to hear Alex really quickly before you go. I know you've been nipping at the bud.
We probably got to go to the next thing.
Well, like
we can in a second. I got you, G.
Like just to go back to what Q said earlier, like people from the middle class kind of can't understand, but like, I mean, I get what you're saying.
I don't think that y'all can't understand. I think that at times the prescription seems off base for people that have boots on the ground in real time.
Well, like that's what I'm saying. Like I think everybody thinks that your socioeconomic class is some stagnant thing that doesn't change. It's dynamic. You know, like at certain times, like I remember being in certain situations. Not to try to sound like T.I. son, you know, I was in my grandma's house in the hood. No, not that. But like, what I'm ultimately saying is, I get what you're saying. Like,
my spoon wasn't silver.
But like, it is one of those things where I don't know how to put it. It's like I might be middle class now, but like my dad wasn't, my mom wasn't, And a lot of my family members to this day weren't. Like me, honestly, like the reason I'm speaking this way is because I do come from a poor family. Not my immediate family, because my dad like joined the army and my mom, you know, became a chemist and all that stuff. So out of my family, I can see like, why did my mom and dad make the decisions they made, but why did my aunties and uncles didn't? Why did my cousins didn't? Why did some of my cousins who were worse off than me, you know,
and none of that came back to self accountability?
So can I?
But like, it's not accountability. It's chance. It's chance.
No.
Oh my gosh,
It's
bro!
all
Like,
cause
it really
and
is
effect.
chance. It really is
It's
chance.
cause and effect.
It's
Y'all
chance.
just want to give
It's
yourself a
cause
pat
and
on the
effect.
back, man.
Cause to
Y'all
this.
just want to
It's
give yourself a
laws.
good pat on the back, bro. Y'all
It's not. Like, listen,
No.
y'all, listen.
Cause and effect. Don't tell me that I got anything by chance, my nigga. Cause and effect. Like,
you just want to give yourself a pat on the back, bro.
No.
And that's a very bourgeoisie like perspective.
Cause and
Y'all
effect.
understand that the Matrix is real, and I'm all right. Now y'all got quiet. But
Or
what I
is
was
it-
saying is,
Just tell them that Matrix was trans people. Whatever you said last week, I forgot.
hey man, that was last week's episode. You gotta go watch it. Like, you gotta watch it back. We ain't
Oh
doing it.
man.
Like what I'm saying, like I'm not saying that you didn't work hard. I'm not discounting what you did. But like I'm saying, if we had to run this thing 100 different times, I don't think all of us would come out the way we all came out. Like I think certain people were in our lives. I think our moms and dad made certain decisions.
No question.
Like heck, like you might have been in a classroom one day, your teacher said something that like inspired you, and now you here.
That's not
So, like,
chance, bro.
It is chance. Like it really is chance, man. Like it is a chance. And like
I
what
don't think it's not
I'm
chance.
ultimately saying is we cannot depend on chance to uplift an entire community. That like
Nobody's
that is,
doing
like,
that.
Who is?
Nobody's doing that.
Listen, like it is rugged individualism for the poor and socialism for the rich. When rich people fail, they get bailed out. When you are a poor black kid trying to go to college and just trying to make something happen, and you have like a breakdown and you dropped out, that's fucking it. You're fucked.
Right.
And do you don't think
right.
there's a difference in socioeconomics and the chances that you're given and the outcomes that you get in life? That's why, like I said before.
Yeah. I see these white people that I went to college with, and you said, I had my parents, they did well and everything like that. I'm around them, and I see that they have no better values than we do. They're not smarter. There's nothing about them that makes them any more likely to do better than us. The fact is, they have the economic undergirding that we never had. So if you want to just say that it's black people's values that separate us, then values aren't going to get us there, because values didn't get anybody where they're at as far as
So let me ask
but
you.
I disagree with that also. I think that if we look at any immigrant class of like people that came to it, if let's just go like Nigerians in America, and their success is they're based off of the fact that they value education and they push their kids to make sure. Huh?
But why those values translate in Nigeria?
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about in America. I'm literally talking about in America. Like you, so I don't know where you're moving the goalposts. You keep moving the goalposts all over the place.
Because it's not values. Because if you pick a certain select group of people and they do well, we have black people that do well too.
So if what I'm talking about is like the country of America, when we look at like what success looks like inside capitalistic America.
So you think Nigerians work harder than us?
You didn't hear what I said then. You got to like stop for a second and listen to what I'm saying. Right? Like the reality for real is usually that like most immigrants in general, this is like the basic immigrant theory, is that most immigrants in general tend to like the first generation ends up being working class, but what they value and instill in their kids is like education. Going to college, getting like multiple level degrees, and like investing inside a field. And like I said, statistically, if you look at immigrants and the most successful ones, they tend to literally adhere to that exact same like structure.
But that's not true though, bro, because these migrants come in with fresh J's and new phones and they get free rent and free
That's
food.
not what I'm talking about. We're not talking about migrants that's getting like free money in New York. I'm talking about like established communities of like immigrants that have like at least 2 to 3 generations in America.
Like,
that's what I'm talking about.
But Q, just to hit that point, like I think even that is a dangerous notion to kind of like perpetuate, because like look at the Asian community. Like the wealth disparity in the Asian community is it's huge. It's huge because like they get pretty much propped
In
up as a
America?
model. Yeah, in America, like they get propped up as this model minority. And the thing about it is like the people who aren't pretty much living up to expectations, they get left behind. Like you want
But
to see,
percentage wise, what is that?
it's huge. Like it's like it's
No, so you're saying like
population
you're
of
saying like
people.
the majority of like Asians are poor? Like I
No.
don't give. That's
not
what I'm saying.
poor.
Like so,
But what I'm saying is when the like within the
because
Asian
of like
community, the
every
wealth
community is going to
disparity
have their
Yeah,
underclass.
Chinatown
the
is hella
wealth
dusty,
gap is
bro.
huge. Like yeah, you might have a doctor here or like a software engineer there, but no one talks about everybody else who gets left behind, who
You think
doesn't
those,
fit into the
But
model.
you think the nail technicians are paid?
can I just
You
enter?
think the nail technicians are paid, bro? Like they're rich, the nail technicians?
Say it again. Do I think that they're rich off being nail technicians?
Alex said there's a range in income, and I'm saying they're nail technicians, and you're acting as if like and there's some that drive Ubers, and some Nigerians, some Africans that do that. But I'm saying, why should Black Americans have to live 10 deep in a house like an immigrant in the country that we built in order to compete? That's not right, man. I don't want to set that as our pathway forward. What we need to do is go to this march on June 15th for the reparations rally and become more politically sophisticated, so we quit allowing them to take advantage of us.
Can I just rattle off? I just want to rattle off some numbers, just because we talking like about these race and stuff. Like the average median net worth of Asian households, 320,000. Okay, it's higher than anything else I'm about to list off. So that's one. All right, white households, median net worth, 250,000, 250. So when you're comparing Asian households to whatever you're talking about, big gaps, median net worth of an Asian household, 320,000. This is in 2021.
Median means something too. Like it's not average because that gets skewed with
for sure.
Correct.
High earners. Median means majority.
But let's keep going. Median household for white, 250,000. Now let's talk, like we said, Hispanic household median net worth 2021, 48,000. Anybody just want to guess where the Black? If I'm giving you those numbers, like let's play that game. If Asians household is at 320K, white household is at 250K, and Hispanic household is at 48K. Where is the Black household? I like to hear from everybody.
Close to Hispanic.
I say
now
50.
give me a number. Just get prices right. Give me a number.
I say 50 to 70.
50 to 70. Who else?
Say 50.
I'm gonna go. And you said this? What year was this?
2021.
I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna go 38.
30.
Alex.
I
know you're doing your research over there. What you found? You got the actual number?
I'm not talking about like that Asian people are.
No. Give me a number. Give me a number. We talking about America. Like we gave average median net worth was like what do you think if median Asian is what we said 320, white is 250, Hispanic is 48. What do you think median Black household income is?
I might be remembering this wrong, but I think it's like $5 or something like that, something crazy like that. But I could be remembering the study wrong.
27K, by far lower than everybody else. Almost half of Hispanic households at 48K. Okay,
and that's because of our values.
I'm not. No. Nobody said that. Nobody said that, Trey.
I want Trey. So Trey, what is it because of?
No. Hold up. I want to respond to him. It's not because of our values. It's because of a lot of the things that Trey mentioned. The history, the slavery, the systematic oppression, everything that came for after. But with that being said, because of that history, we don't necessarily see ourselves in the same way that other cultures see themselves in America when it comes to wealth generation. And this is why I'm saying from a wealth perspective, the values need to change. That's all I'm purely saying. And based off of the data, I don't know how you could disagree with this.
I can tell you how I disagree with it.
You think it needs to stay the same, the black wealth values?
I'm saying the values don't have nothing to do with it. Every group that you said, the immigrant groups, they got
Bro,
handouts.
you
when
ain't
they
been
got
in the
here.
inner city, bro. You ain't been to a Title I school. I done grew up in one, I done lived in one, and I done taught at one.
So
I know what
are
them
you saying?
parents, I know what them parents and kids be like be on.
But they handpick immigrants to come over here, and then
I
you
ain't
compare
talking
them.
about an immigrant.
So who are you comparing it to?
So if we like exclude,
Just
like my
talk
bad,
about
I'm
us.
kind of like moving out of like the
You said Asians,
verse
and then you
of
said Hispanic.
like
So we're
being
not talking
host,
about-
but like if I don't care nothing about them. We only use them as like a point of reference when we're like making a bigger point. But I don't care about them. Like I literally be having boots on the ground with like black kids all the time. So I see what I see what they mamas be doing. I see what they what they dads be or if dads is not there be doing. Like I have literal boots on the ground and I have my hands on them all the time. I literally right before this I came from kids that was getting dropped off by like Ubers and shit like that.
See, that's another
That the
difference.
coach had to pay to get there. Like I understand what like these scenarios really look like, and not like an infanticized version of what it is. You understand what I'm
You
saying?
talking about schools in the hood, basically.
No, I'm gotcha. But it's but yeah, go ahead.
I mean,
I love to hear you.
you're talking about black people in the hood, and you're comparing them to people that you said they aren't immigrants, but you said they're Asian and Hispanic.
No, all right. So what I'm speaking about is literally like value systems that exist within like these spaces. And
Real quick,
to
can I
me,
add this
a lot of times, you got it.
My bad. Listen real quick. So he just gave you what the average was. So we he's not talking about black schools. He talking about he said the average income, right?
He said the
income.
median.
Median, whatever. Median was what, 20,
There's a
what he said,
difference.
20.
Oh, you're on mute, G.
Median household net worth, not even income. We ain't talking about what you make on your W-2s. Net worth.
But now the next question is, G
Hispanic.
and bro, like, how do you think that trended up to
But
where
hold on,
it is
I wanted to hear
over time?
Rel finish off
It's
what he was saying real
accumulation of
quick.
things.
So I just wanted to make sure that we were talking about the same thing, because you could sit and we can talk about like just to bring it back down, because I don't know Trey, I don't know where, you know what I mean, where you sit, where your family sits, financial, all that stuff. But to me it's like, okay, so if we can sit here and say the median not necessarily income, he was saying net worth is this means that the population of people, this is their median. So you can't just say blacks. We're talking about just the very average black school black. You know what I mean? It seemed like you're talking. You like that, and I understand it. Like when you come from a higher economic status, we like to talk about it as, you mean, where we see each other there. You know what I mean? But your lens is not necessarily the lens of what the populace is. The
So why?
population is like.
I'm saying, so why is your
Go ahead.
perspective more like? I feel like my perspective is more like I've seen what a lot of these people that I guess people aspire to get to or whatever, and I see that it's not values that got them there. I see that they have family, money, and houses that they pass down, everything like that. So I'm telling you,
Do they
it's not
usually
a
be having
value.
like 2-parent households?
They have 2-parent households, but not dual incomes. But black people with dual
I didn't
income.
say anything about dual incomes.
But I'm saying
that right there. But right there in itself,
I didn't say anything about.
just the fact that you have a 2-parent household, that changes the dynamic. And then you think about, okay, so what percentage of black people have a 2-parent household? I was listening earlier. What is it? This was in 2013. It's, matter of fact, I'm not going to try to give the statistic because I don't remember it right offhand. But it's something crazy. I think it was like in 2013, it was like 70-something% of us are being raised in single house. You know what I mean? So like you can use
like
the go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, just in my experience, right? Like, I do agree, home ownership is one of the key things that has kept
for sure
black wealth from building. Like lack of home ownership,
and that's generational wealth.
And redlining has had an undeniable impact on that, right?
Yeah.
In my experience, right, I stayed. So growing up, my mom made just enough to not get food stamps. It's arguably the worst spot to be in when you make
Worst
just
spot.
enough for them to tell you, nah, you can't get no assistance, right? Now, we stayed in one apartment for when I was in from first grade to when I finished college. One apartment. Almost 20 years. She eventually bought a home when I graduated college. And when I asked, like, why did we wait to do this? It was because there was misinformation, and she didn't value it. It's just that simple. Like, it wasn't that she couldn't, it wasn't that she wasn't able to. She didn't know. There was some misinformation, and she, at the end of the day, you know, and this is, I'm talking about my own moms. You see what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, like, when you don't know something, what do you do to try to figure something out? You see what I'm saying? It's like home ownership. Like, we know, like, her siblings own homes. We have other people in the family that own homes. Like, it's not like it's just something that you can't hit somebody up or like there's opportunities there to do something. So what I'm saying, like, from a value perspective, like, sometimes it might be because of, like you said, not exposed background, the family come from certain circumstances. Like, all those things can be true, but for me, at some point, like, what do you want for yourself, and then what are you doing to try and make changes? Like, if you're not doing anything to make changes, but you just want to talk about why you are where you are, at some point,
nobody's saying not to do anything. But the people that your mother knew, were they black? The people that had homes?
Yeah.
Okay, so if we're talking about a black value issue, and then you just gave other examples of people, it seemed like that's specific to one individual in your story. So that kind of like debunks what you're saying. If it's a value issue with black people, then why would just the only black person?
You want me to give you black home ownership statistics? Because I don't equate my group. I don't equate the group of black people that my mom knows to, like, the sample size for the average black American.
I don't think it's because we don't know. I don't think it's that we don't know we need homes. I think a lot of black people are, if you're living check to check, then you're not really going to be able to afford a home. So I don't think it's a knowledge of. I think a lot of people, if they could afford a home, they would buy one.
That's not true. A lot of people choose to rent.
Like, have you had conversations with that same group of people and understand, like, their financial literacy?
Yes, my whole life, everyone's.
So what you're saying? No, my bad. So what you're saying is that your whole life you've spoken to low income and working class people, and you understand their financial literacy.
Man, do people in white middle class go to the trailer parks?
You didn't answer the question I just asked at all.
I'm saying, like, I don't understand the relevance of.
Oh, okay.
So black home ownership, like, less than half of black people own homes. Less than half. 45% is the statistic I'm looking at.
Not to cut you off, G, but, like, if I say this out my mouth, you're gonna get upset. But, like, do you think that they wouldn't choose to do that if they had the means to?
I know people. Well, one, my wife is a realtor. We buying and selling homes is what this household do. Okay. And what I can tell you is that I know people who can definitely afford to purchase. And this was when COVID was happening. Not even now when interest rates are crazy. I'm talking about when interest rates were super low. They had the ability and they chose not to, period.
The thing too is that, like, bro, I think that, and it's a lot of times I agree with you 100%, G. I know people in my family directly, like, or even in my friend group, be like, bro, why don't you buy a house? Like, you got a job, you've been there, you're stable, but they still just, kind of want to do the apartment thing. I think that we also have a cap. I always talk about, like, the ceiling. I think that we also have a ceiling. Everybody's ceiling is different, but a lot of us have a ceiling that is way too low. We believe that we only, you know what I mean? It's like the idea of, like, trying.
Man,
The idea of trying is
bro. I
I'm
don't
not
know
talking.
any.
Well, speaking about, I'm talking about. I'm not talking about you, Trey. I'm talking about the people. So okay, I literally still live in uh quote unquote the hood. Like and I also I chose to live in the hood because I want to take advantage of gentrification. We can
What?
talk
Man, we
about
were
that if you
saying
want to. We can talk
we were
about
talking
that
about
if you
this.
want to.
Oh yeah, I'm about to say
But
like
what
that.
I'm
That's its
saying,
own thing. That's like
what
I
I'm
think
saying,
that
Yeah,
black people should look towards taking advantage of
taking
gentrification. But
advantage of
Rail, keep
gentrification.
going.
Look,
Yeah.
niggas, bro. See, that's what I be talking about. It's that victim thing. The same thing with gentrification. It's not necessary, bro. Like, okay, but
well,
what I was saying though is that I think that a lot of us we have our ceilings too low. We can achieve. We can do the thing. What it is that we can't see ourselves doing the thing. So we end up being in our own way. And then what we do is like you'll be in your own way, and then you'll be giving everybody else. So you end up victimizing yourself because you're in your own way, and then without the lack of without accountability, then everybody else is the problem. And so what I think is also with the value system, like you say, like the
But
value is that at the end of the day, if you actually want to do a thing, like bro, like I say, I'm the nigga that you can ask Q. He been knowing me half my life, bro. I was the fuck up guy out of the crew. Like I did the little bit, I did the most
it
kind of
sounds like
fucking
you're
stuff.
projecting, then, bro. Because I'm not
I'm
everybody
not,
had that
bro. I'm
mentality.
still here though, but I'm still here. Like my next door neighbor, like my, I live where these, like literally, I'm talking about like live in a space where these black people own these houses, and then these younger people, like the people that the houses are going to, these niggas just let the house go. Like literally, you can see it, bro. I'm living around. I live in like the biggest housing development in Charlotte, and it was actually a white a middle class white, then it became a middle class black, and then it became a black neighborhood, and now we have the Hispanics coming in and moving in and buying a lot of the houses. And I'm sitting here like I'm still here, bro, with the hood corner store John. You know what I mean? I'm still here. So if I'm talking from a perspective of being and seeing these guys every day, knowing the nigga riding the bike to the store, the corner store to get his beers and shit, he cool. I don't look down on him. I fuck with him, but I'm just saying, like I'm still
Yeah,
here.
it sounds like you
Hey
do
Rail,
look down on
Trey, before
everybody.
you go, I'm gonna put 10 minutes on the clock. To kind of wrap up the conversation. Obviously, it sounds like we got a part 2 in the making, but I do want to leave at least like a good 30 minutes for call-ins, to where we can kind of get back and forth with the audience and listen to what they hear. Listen to what they have to say to what we've said. So it's 10 minutes on the clock. Starting from here, we'll try and wrap it up closer to what time is it? Like 12:10.
okay.
Wrap this part of the conversation up.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
Alex.
Let me just jump in. Like, I hear what Rel and not G is saying, but it's like just use yourself as a primary example. Like, I don't think anybody on this panel is a millionaire. I don't think anybody on this panel is super uber rich to the point that you and your children don't have to work again. So ask yourself, like, why aren't you? Like, why aren't you trying hard enough? Like, it to me, like that's how this conversation sounds when you kind of reduce it down to someone who literally like is just trying to figure out, like, am I going to be able to eat tomorrow? And I think at a time where there's unprecedented like social like wealth inequality, and pretty much like people are like Generation Z, like they're failing to launch, and it's not because they're not working hard. It's not because they have bad values. That's just where our like economy is right now. Like I know I'm gonna do my best to raise my kids, and I know that y'all gonna do the same. But like I really do wonder, like, how is my child going to buy a house if he goes to school, does what he's supposed to? If people that I know who have master's degrees, hold down a steady job in the tech field, they can't even buy a house. And this is nothing to do with black or white. So at a time of rampant inequality and wealth, a big, huge wealth gap that just continues to grow and grow and grow, I don't really think it's like concise or accurate to pretty much portray that people who are not doing as well as you are somehow like lacking values or aren't trying hard enough. Like that's just the time we're in, but that's all I gotta say. I'll pass it over to
What I,
whoever
what I,
wants to next.
and I'll just ask a question. Well, just kind of ask a question based on what you just said. Do you think the people that you were just talking about with these degrees that have these jobs, can they not buy a house, or can they not buy the house that they think they should have?
They can't buy a house. Period. They can't afford
They
it.
can buy a house. Like, well, that's if they can't buy a house, that's on them, and they've made bad decisions. Like, I'm not no
Like
like,
there you
okay,
go again,
well,
bro. Like it's always a
no,
matter
listen,
of
bro.
like
My thing is that
Go ahead,
everything is based
I
on.
think he has a good like it. Good.
But everything is based is all relative, bro. That everything G said, cause and effect. Like, it's not by chance, nigga. If you work at a job making, I ain't even gonna give no number. If based on what you just said, if they work at a job with whatever you was talking about, they can buy a house. Otherwise, they just made bad decisions, and
bro,
they
not
hindered
not to cut you
themselves.
off, bro, but like I don't think you're an economist. I don't think you do anything in the realm of
I'm not an
investment banking.
economist.
So
I don't have to be.
it's very
What I'm
no, but that's the point. That's literally the
what
Dunning-Kruger
I'm saying,
effect. You're talking about
bro.
something that
You
you
could.
don't have any intimate knowledge or any expertise knowledge on, and you're prescribing
What
something
I'm,
for a group of people. That's
no,
that's
what I'm saying.
like that would
What
be
I'm
like me
saying is
talking about like what you do for a living. I know nothing about what you do. And imagine me pretty
right,
much
but
like,
That's like Alex talking about soul food.
oh
it's
my
not you.
gosh,
That's
leave me,
not.
leave,
That's not
leave
you.
me alone. Leave me
Hey, that
alone.
was a
We
good
got
one.
we
That
got
was a good
yams.
one.
Yeah, but it's
But
not
no, I
you.
mean, all right. So if I was to try to like piggyback to what Rail was saying, when you speak about they can't buy a home, it's more so buy a home that they want. There's it in Charlotte. There's homes at 150. There's homes at
150.
200K. There's homes at 250, 300. Is that the one that you feel that fits within your lifestyle and what you want to exude to like your general sphere? I mean
Yeah,
sphere, like that's up to you. And
yeah, I
that's
want to live
when
in
it
a
comes down to
bando.
like, okay, maybe not.
You ain't got to
But
see that. We go
can
to
you
a nigga
buy a
street.
home like to like in reality? A piece of financial literacy is understanding that the barrier to buying a home is not as crazy as it looks like, especially if you have a
Facts.
700 credit score. Shit, no, let me take that down. You could be at 625,
But this is what I mean by valuing
you could roll
credit.
of
You have to
FHA.
value your credit to be in position to buy a
Yeah,
home.
yeah.
And for
But
example,
having good credit it doesn't have an income level.
The thing is that you ain't even gotta have good credit. Like, we have NACA. Like, literally, NACA is a program.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know,
yeah.
like, bro, I didn't, bro, I know that. Okay, niggas be trying to be victim, ODing on victimhood when you can literally go through NACA at a 640 credit score, get you an interest rate that's lower than the niggas that's sitting there going conventional and going through FHA, get you a
FHA,
lower
yeah.
interest rate, or you can go and refinance through. All right, don't worry about it. Yeah, all
What
right,
does that
I'm
get
good.
us? What does that get us? No,
I'm
what does
good.
that
You
get
said
What
us?
is
what?
that good? But
So
what it get?
every black person buys a bando. Then what do?
But now we gotta go to a
What?
bando. Y'all niggas that y'all
So
victims like to go to
200K only gets
extreme.
you a bando?
No,
Victims like
I'm
to go to
saying.
Like that's
No,
elitist.
extreme.
That's elitist.
no,
You don't
it's
see how
not. I'm
that's
saying.
elitist mentality?
No, I'm saying if you're saying that if everybody can afford a house, if even if it's
I
not
didn't
what
say
you.
everybody. I
Okay,
didn't
but I'm
say
saying
My
everybody.
thing,
if
Those are
your
my
solution,
thing
exaggerations.
if your
even
solution
if
to us,
let's just go to what he just said, right? Let's just say everybody did buy a bando. So
Mm.
how long does it take for your bando to give you enough equity to where you can get what you need to get?
so that's your solution for black empowerment in
No,
2
that ain't
years
my
2026.
because they
solution.
about
That
to
ain't my
gentrify that
solution.
bitch.
but
See,
see, Trey,
that's
I
what
don't
I'm
like
talking
what you
about.
doing, Trey. You
Extreme.
talk
You
about
trying to
you
go
talk about
extreme.
you talking about the fact that we don't own. Now we talking about ways to own, and you like, well, what good is that going to do? So is it like there's
Moving the
just no answers?
goalpost.
Like
Niggas
because
moving
it's
the
like, are you
goalpost.
saying we shouldn't try to buy like these
No, we just
dilapidated properties, like what's going
hey,
on in
Hey,
Baltimore
bro,
right now?
let him answer.
okay,
No,
I'm
Keep
I'm
done.
going.
saying that that's not the solution. Like what you're saying is not going to get us anywhere. That's exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying the answer needs to be we need to recognize the condition. We need to recognize that we need to be fighting for reparations. And if we're not fighting for reparations, we need to be fighting to make sure the people that the money that should be going towards us, when it goes to other places, we need to be fighting against that. We should be standing when they're giving millions of dollars to migrants and they say they don't have money to make us whole for what happened to us so we can compete fairly. That needs to be top of the priority. It shouldn't just be like victim blame. And then one thing, real quick, I take that term victim mentality very offensive because you would never go to a Holocaust survivor if they never got reparations, no one's ever done to make them right and say, quit being a victim. Like, it's only black people. And when we talk about the victim mentality, what happened to us is a long list of things that happened to our ancestors. You would say that our condition is separate from all of that and say I'm playing a victim when I'm recognizing the role that it plays. That's incredibly offensive, bro. And it's also like ingrained self-hate, bro, and a docile mentality. No, it's a very docile mentality. If you allow people to victimize
You know
you,
the
and
funny thing. The funny thing, I think it's more docile to wait for somebody to do something for you than do it for yourself.
nobody's waiting. Nobody's waiting.
Sound like you wait. My
That's
thing
a
is,
straw man.
if you're gonna say that we're wait, because you gotta be waiting if you're talking about
No, we're not
reparations.
waiting. We're
You
working on what we
gotta be
can do.
waiting.
They getting
How
reparations
about
right now in
how
Evanston,
about
Illinois.
here's a compromise.
You
We should work
gotta
on
be
what you.
waiting.
Here's a compromise, bro. We should work on what you're saying. I agree. We should work on our values, but at the same time, that's not going to get us where we need to be. So we need to be focused on the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is we
But
need to be made whole.
the thing is, reparations without. Oh, go ahead. My bad. Go ahead, G.
I just want to reply to Alex. I know we run up on the time. I just want to just say, like, for the record, like, no one is trying to suggest that like the way you framed it, Alex, as if like if you're not where I like, that's not, nobody's saying that. What I'm just saying, plain and clear, we need to figure out how to change some of the values. Period. And a clear example of this is just like valuing credit. Like you, like a lot of us talking about how you're gonna set your kids up. Like you can put stuff in their name, start building their credit now. Like you can do little things to help put
we're not living in
position.
redlining right now. Let's be honest. We're not living in redlining.
I'm not saying that there won't be obstacles for them to face, but what I'm saying is that at some point, if you want something different, you can't keep doing the same thing. And if you're okay with the circumstances and you want things to continue how they are, then keep doing what you're doing. But if
Nobody's
you don't,
saying to keep doing it, bro.
but I'm saying, but what I'm saying is I focus on what I feel like I can control, and
30 seconds left,
and I try to use that to create something that doesn't exist versus harp on things that are going to be beneficial. Like you got to know your past before you get to the future. But at the end of the day, I can't change what's happened in the past. I got to study it and make sure I understand the obstacles that are going to be in front of me moving forward based off of what people have gone through in the past. Like that's what the history's for, is to help set us up so that we can do things, not repeat the same mistakes, in my opinion. Like that's the biggest, like the most important part of looking back at history. It's not just to point a finger, it's also to learn so that we can come up with better strategies.
Better
solutions.
I
see why women are best with that mentality, man.
So
it's
Trey,
like,
I'm gonna throw right back to you. And I'll say this. Chat, we live right now. It is now 30 minutes left in the show. 30 minutes left. We say hit the live chat. We've just thrown in the chat the link to it. I think G has pinned inside his info the link as well.
I'll drop it in the chat over here too.
Yeah, drop it in the chat. And yeah, we'll love to hear your opinions. As you come up, we'll give you 2 minutes and we'll kind of like talk and converse with you after that, just kind of depending on the scenario. But you are guaranteed at least 2 minutes. Live chat is there. Trey, as the live chat starts to kind of fill in, what you got?
I was saying, like, just as far as your just response, G, I think as Black people, we need to stand up and try to make right what was done to us. I think we owe it to our ancestors. If I were them and then my children were just like, you know what, well, I guess we'll just get over it and just do what we can to fit with them. And even though it's not fair, I would want them to like fight for what was ours. I'm not saying fight in like a physical, like go out there and grab a gun or anything like that, but we need to demand justice. And we can't just sit here and be satisfied with having to have a more difficult fight while they're handing out money to other people that our tax dollars are there for.
Hey Trey, I got a quick question for you.
I'm not disagreeing with that point, though.
What do you look at as being like? What is the action of being a victim as a Black person look like to you?
I think it's when you accept your circumstances and just try to do the best of what you can instead of trying to fight for justice.
So when you say like what black people just gonna get a bando, what is that like shape itself under?
I'm saying like if your
And
solution,
when you be like, what they gonna do with that? What does that shape itself under?
I'm saying that's not going to get us anywhere. It's been done to
Is
us
that
so
not
much.
like is that not an acceptance
Really, what
of like the circumstance in that it won't do like as the way you define the phenomena? Is that not exactly it?
As far as getting a bando, I
Well,
don't think
in
that's a
general, we were
solution.
talking about like just $2,000 homes. I mean, $200,000 homes in North Carolina. That's it's a big difference between North Carolina and California. But in general, I'm just asking: is that not like close to that? If you're just accepting that, me buying real estate at that price is just it. As a black person, it's just I don't know. I'm
What
interested.
you're saying. As far as like our circumstances, I understand what you're saying. Like, given our scenario, what can we do within our scenario? But I think leaving it at that does a disservice to our ancestors, because leaving it at that means that we're just going to accept that we're going to have a tougher fight, and we're going to allow them to prioritize everyone else, even though we're the ones that are owed. If we don't stand behind that, no, we will never get reparations, especially with the mentality that like Rel was saying, we're just gonna get it. We're waiting. What we're gonna do? All that we're talking right there. We're not ever gonna get anything that way.
What did I say?
You said stuff along the lines like we're just gonna wait for it and just have a victim mentality, and it's basically the whole bootstrap thing.
So what I was saying was based on the way that you're
Hello,
saying.
Trey.
See,
Trey, my nigga. Though.
hey, nah, and honestly, I kind of knew that me and Trey was gonna have a back and forth because I already knew like
I love him.
yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
What I'll say is that like what the victimhood thing is to me, waiting for reparations is victimhood.
We are not
Expecting
waiting for. You can't wait for reparations. You have to go and fight
but
for it.
what I'm saying is that regardless, it's still waiting. Even if you fighting, you still waiting.
But
It's
nobody's
still
waiting
gonna
because I'm
come.
not saying sit
But
idle.
what I'm saying is gonna come down the line. Is what I'm saying. Like it's gonna take some time for you to fight, and then down the line, you'll get it. So it's still waiting.
Bro, I'm going to work every day. I'm working to save our house. I'm doing all the things you're saying, but I'm saying that's not waiting for reparations. But I'm also not going to like treat it like it's some pipe dream. Like we need to
So
make it real.
But while I'm getting reparations, I'm gonna try and build my credit score too, right?
Exactly. I'm not disagreeing with y'all strategies.
That's all everybody's saying on this panel.
Exactly.
It sounds like you were saying our situation is
No, you kept saying that, man. That's, I was like, yo, why are we arguing over we don't need to improve our financial literacy? Like, I don't understand why that's an argument.
Because our values aren't the problem. Our values aren't worse than other groups. Yes, you can. If you compare us to foreigners then you have to compare us to the foreigners in their homeland too. Because you're comparing like their cream of the crop who could afford to come here to our entire collective.
I don't think that's a fair representation.
We do got a guest. We do got a guest that joined.
Okay. All right. I got 3 minutes on the clock, and yeah.
You got the clock. Let me bring him to the stage. What up, Mike?
What's up? How y'all doing?
We doing good. Doing good.
Good, brother.
Welcome to the show.
So Mike,
there's the real accent. I'm joking.
Hey Mike, so for you, what we'll try and do, we'll give you like 3 minutes uninterrupted, and then we'll try and keep you on for like another like 7 to 10 minutes, and just kind of have dialogue with you. We love what you do. We love the conversation.
Likewise.
Hey, I enjoyed the video that you made. So yeah, again, 3 minutes on the clock. We'll love to hear your opinion. One, I love to start hearing like what is black culture, and then give your critiques or your approval of what we've said so far.
Yeah, for sure. So I've only been watching for like the last 30, 40 minutes. As far as what is black culture is synonymous with American culture. Globally, when you go around the world and when they talk about American culture, you're talking about a culture that was founded and fostered by foundational black Americans. Actually, more specifically, when you go around the globe, white Americans are looked at as the bottom class of European society. And when they are praising Americans, they are specifically praising and giving kudos to Black Americans. So I don't understand why people try to act like we have a culture of degeneracy or we have no culture when we're literally celebrated globally. And if you guys are really Pan-African, then why are we hyper focusing on Black American culture? Shouldn't we also be having a discussion about culture across the diaspora or a lack thereof? So, it's just really interesting.
I don't know if we have any like specific Pan African on the panel.
The title of the stream is FBA versus Pan African. So where's the Pan
That's for
African?
SEO purposes.
Huh?
Well, I mean, all right. So, I'll give you like a fair answer to it. I think that Trey kind of like leans like he's definitely FBA. I think that in general we're all kind of like people that are to be swayed. Like we have opinions that might line somewhat Pan-African, somewhat FBA. And like we're having discourse in general, like i.e. like the title is Unpacked, to kind of find out exactly where we end up landing at. But because of some of our opinions do land Pan-African, like that's i.e. like FBA versus Pan-African, because we do have a stark FBA person on the panel, in which we tend to kind of like go back and forth with agreeing and disagreeing with.
Yeah, so I'm really not understanding the motivation behind the title, because if I'm just a casual onlooker and I'm scrolling YouTube and I see FBA versus Pan-African, I'm thinking it's going to be a discussion of FBAs and a discussion with Pan-Africans, or at least you guys are going to be discussing both philosophies, both points
And
of
that's
view.
what we did with the first 30 to 45 minutes.
Right.
And
Yeah.
we kind of like
So
sat
then you
and
guys
broke
spoke
down
about culture across the diaspora, or have you guys just spoke about Black American culture tonight?
So I'll answer. So what we did was we began the conversation on defining what is Black culture, and does that include the diaspora? And like it kind of like diverged into a couple different things, but what we ended up landing on is that all right, we're going to speak specifically about the culture in the lens of FBA, because of like like there's a lot of ways that it can go when we talk about Black culture and the diaspora's contributions. But we did spend like a good 30 to 45 minutes on specifically like FBA versus Pan-Africanism when it comes down to Black culture.
So you guys spoke about culture across the diaspora. You didn't just speak about Black American culture tonight.
I mentioned the regeneracy across the
Okay. Hey, if we're talking about diaspora, and the purpose why I asked that is because if we talk about culture across the diaspora, we have the only culture to be celebrated for. I mean, we are the most successful global supreme Black folks across the diaspora if you're comparing us to the other members of the diaspora. So I find it interesting how we always have people, albeit, foreigners, immigrant background, whatever, and they like to hyper focus on Black American culture. And, it kind of becomes a witch hunt, and they're trying to act like we have such high levels of degeneracy. But if you literally just compare us versus any other culture across the diaspora, it's not even a fair comparison. I mean, if anything,
can I ask you a
they
question?
hyper focus after I'm done. If anything, they hyper focus on Black American culture because they know they have no culture, or at least no culture to be proud of.
Are you
As
done?
much as people like to say, I'll be done right after this last statement. As much as people like to mention Sukihana and Sexy Red, people across the diaspora are doing genital mutilation, genocide. Witch doctors are abducting children into the bushes and cutting them up. There's slavery in Africa modern day. They just call it human trafficking. So if we talk about culture across the diaspora, we should be giving unsolicited advice to other members of the diaspora, not FBA so much. FBAs are pretty well off compared to our brothers and sisters, as they say. But I yield.
Gotcha. And I guess I'm gonna throw the rail, but I think maybe you have a misinterpretation of the title. I think that from the lens of what Black culture is in America is how we're like framing the FBA versus Pan-African, in which like the inclusion or exclusion of I don't know what like what the proper term is of like Black Americans and people that are not Black, like weren't like foundation like people that were born of slavery. But Rail, what you got?
Oh no! I think he kind of as he went through the last end, it sounded like initially he was talking about financially, but then when he went into it, he kind of went more into, I guess, a more moral compass. I'm assuming that's what he was going into. So if he's gonna
Instead of
go
assuming, you
into
can just
the,
ask me.
well, I mean, you said what you said, so I didn't necessarily assume. I was going off of what you said. You started to mention things that weren't necessarily financial, so then I was like, okay, well then I'll just listen more. But originally it sounded like usually what I think is that people talk about, oh, we're doing so much better. It's like financial based, like, oh, we have, like, athletes and things, people that make real good money, and that's what I thought you were going into. So I was going to ask you, was it just financial based? Where was that where you were drawing your
Every
conclusion?
aspect of culture. Culture is social institutions, achievements, inventions, music, dance, cuisine, all of the above. Avery Marker, we are number one. Name me 10 African inventors. Name me 10 African civil rights leaders. I'll wait.
Shit, I definitely couldn't. I'm not a philosopher.
But
I don't know
but I can
jack
name
shit.
15
I
FBA
ain't willing
inventors off
to.
the top of my head, and we ain't talking no rappers or ball players. We're talking inventors. We're talking about businessmen,
Right.
realtors, entrepreneurs,
Mhm.
serial entrepreneurs. I mean, back in the day, we literally had our own cities, our whole town. So when you guys talk about real estate, I mean,
Right.
I understand one of the brothers on the panel said he had a real estate background, but I'm not sure if the other members of the panel are really that knowledgeable on the subject. Because when you talk about, oh, well, if we just have our own area, then everything will be better. Like that happened, and then it was destroyed. And I'm not talking about Tulsa,
Right.
Oklahoma being bombed, because what most people don't
Oh,
realize is you guys got the story backwards. It wasn't Tulsa, Oklahoma Tulsa, Oklahoma was Black Wall Street, and then it got bombed, and then that's the end of the story. That's not what happened. Tulsa, Oklahoma was a thriving black town before it was ever called Black Wall Street. Then it was
right.
bombed. Then they rebuilt it in only 4 months, and it became Black Wall
Mm.
Street. And then Black Wall Street was destroyed for a second time, this time through urban renewal. So, if we're going to talk about real estate, and we're going to talk about living in a capitalist society, and we got goofy people on the panel laughing about reparations, talking about you're holding your breath and waiting for reparations is victimhood.
Hey,
So the people who marched during the civil rights were victims, right?
so my question:
The
Have you
people
been
who
to
fought
Tulsa?
the people who
Have you
fought
been to
Hey,
for
Tulsa?
Mike,
you
you
to
just
have
got to
civil
come on the
rights
show
are
next
just
week.
victims,
That's
huh?
that's all I'm saying.
Come on.
All right.
Go
When
on
was
this show
when was
next week.
that?
We gonna talk this
Victimhood, he
shit.
When was that?
said.
All right,
Victims.
all right.
When was?
So I think fair enough. I think that Mike, you kind of went. It was a little more than 3 minutes, but we enjoyed your conversation. We'll go Rail, Alex, and then my bad. Let's go Alex and Rail, and then Mike. We'll continue the conversation and back and forth with you,
Yeah.
Alex.
Like, did you want me to respond to something Mike said, and like, or
Oh
did
no,
you
it
have a
seemed like you
question?
had something to say. It
He
doesn't
always
matter to
be
me.
interrupting me and having nothing to say. I love it. It's so funny.
No, I said you should come on the show next week so we
Oh,
can
okay.
have a full conversation.
Yeah.
There's
Well, I would love what you have to say about culture, especially culture across the diaspora, not just Black American culture, since you do have an interesting lineage, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So, can you speak a little bit to Caribbean culture?
Like, what in particular though? Like, what do you want to know?
Tell them about the soul food.
Like we did, Mike. We did talk about this earlier.
Yeah, that's what I said. We kind of
we
ran
did.
down
We
this
did. We
entire
did
thing.
talk about this earlier.
I wasn't here, so I'll make it very specific. Can you name 1 or 2 or 3 achievements that you Caribbeans are proud of?
Like, in total, or like in the American
Can you just
context?
name one? Can you just name one achievement the Caribbeans are proud of? Just one achievement.
I can't speak for all Caribbean people, but like in terms of America, one achievement that I am proud of is Shirley Chisholm, the first Black woman elected into Congress.
Is she Caribbean?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So the one achievement is a Caribbean leaving the Caribbean to come to our country and become a politician.
Well,
Ask about
do you
the
have the
Americans.
same criticism for any other immigrant group, Mike? Like, would you
I'm
say this
just
about
asking
like
you
not
about
to
Caribbean
cut you off,
culture,
but
and
like,
you're trying to
would you
deflect
say
to
this
other
about like
immigrant
Joe
groups.
Biden, like heritage leaving Ireland and then coming over here
We're
and
talking
him
about the
becoming president?
Caribbeans right now, but yes, I dog out any immigrant that flees their homeland and comes over here to profit from a foundation we built. Yes. So now that you know I give all immigrants equal smoke, let's talk about you Caribbean folks. What achievement other than coming to America have you guys achieved? I mean, you have the floor.
So what achievements have we achieved? Like these are very loaded questions because.
But y'all just spent 2 hours talking about Black Americans, right? Okay.
But Mike, you just admitted that you didn't even watch the show. You got into the show late, so you're kind of.
And were you talking about Caribbean culture for most of the time, or Black
Yes,
American
they
culture
roasted
for
my
most of
black
the
ass
time?
talking about yams and sweet potatoes.
Hey,
Like,
everybody watching, I simply
Roast.
asked him what's one achievement that he can list from the Caribbeans, and the only thing he listed is a Caribbean
Mike,
coming to
to be
America
fair, you did
and becoming a
actually only
politician.
list one, and I'm trying to be.
I know, and that's the only one you chose to list. That's it. That's your answer. It's
Do you
very
want me
telling.
to elaborate? Do you want me to go more?
No, it's very telling. It proves our point when we speak about how immigrants don't get anything popping in their country, so they have to come to ours. I said,
So
list
my
an
bad.
achievement.
Alex,
Out of any
Alex,
achievement,
would
list
you
an
like to?
achievement.
Would you like to be
And they
fair?
came
Would you
to
like
America.
to list more achievements?
But like, I think that that's why
Caribbeans-
like this conversation is kind of started in bad faith because it's almost to say that like Caribbean people did nothing or nothing of note because what we are having a very condensed conversation that only said one thing. What about people in Haiti who literally fought for their own freedom? What about people like if we're talking about foundational Black America, like do you not acknowledge that a lot of the wealth that
All
was
this explaining, and you couldn't list another achievement, huh?
Mike, do you have any intention to have a genuine conversation, or are you here to
You're just
grandstand
deflecting and gaslighting
when
when you could have simply listed
like,
another
I'm just asking,
achievement.
like, do you want to have a genuine conversation? Because I want to have one with you, but like,
I honestly
just here to
don't
grandstand
care
and
to
posture, like,
converse with
I
a
really can't
person
help
who
you with
can't
that.
even list any.
I just listed
achievement.
more, but you
Okay,
like it's
so,
not good
sir,
enough
sir,
for you.
if the only achievement you're gonna list is a Jamaican coming to America and becoming a politician, then that's your answer, and we can move on. But the whole deflecting about, well, do you talk about Joe Biden like this, and how about the Haitians? Sir, just stop the cap. Just stop the cap. If you were Haitian, I'd be asking you about Haitian culture.
So what are you asking me?
I already asked the question, and you gave an answer, so we can move on.
Okay, if that's how you have genuine conversations, more power to
Didn't
you.
y'all have a sprinter or something? What's his name? The sprinter?
Bobsleds or something, right? There you go.
No, oh buddy, he's like the fastest man. He won the Olympics. What's his name? Y'all know who I'm
So
talking
like
about.
that's what I'm saying. Like does entertainment count? I didn't think that's what Mike was asking.
Everything counts,
Same boat.
but peep
Okay,
game.
so
but
the
peep
first,
game.
but like that's
It
what I'm
took
saying.
an
Like
FBA
any
brother to
achievement,
list
any
some
achievement
achievements
you
that
would
the
say.
Hey,
Caribbeans
one
did.
at a time. One at a time. One at a
Like
time.
that's what I'm saying. Any achievement worth noting, you'll just say that. Oh, so you're famous for coming here and doing something.
So you're gonna assume what I would have responded to if you
I
would
don't
have
have to
listed
assume
a
that's
different
what you did,
achievement.
Mike.
Oh my god,
That's
this is
literally what
sad.
you did.
This is sad. All
Because
right,
when I said Shirley Chisholm, okay, so she came here and did something here. But
because
then
that's
there would
not
be like
necessarily a
if
Caribbean
this
achievement.
conversation was extended, then you would be upset that like what?
How did the Caribbean benefit from Shirley Chisholm or whatever her name was? How did the Caribbean benefit from her not being a politician for them in their homeland, but coming to speak on behalf of United States citizens?
So
That don't make
so
sense.
what you're saying is Shirley Chisholm
Bob
came
Marley.
up here and disregarded her country and did something for FBAs and ADOS people.
What I'm saying is whatever she
So-
did
so,
benefited the
like,
American
if this
people, not
conversation was
the
extended
Caribbean,
and
right?
done in good faith, you would then ask the question: what have anybody in the diaspora ever done for anyone in the FBA and ADOS movement? And like, I don't
And the
really
answer is
think
nothing. The diaspora has done nothing for FBAs
Nothing.
or ADOS. Yes, nothing.
So
Pan-Africanism
Sophie
was invented
Carmichael,
by
that
Black
she did
Americans.
nothing.
It has been
Malcolm
totally
X did
one-sided.
nothing.
Continental Africans don't practice
Hey,
Pan-Africanism.
fellas, I
So,
guess
yes.
right now it's probably like
That's
a
why
good
you need to
moment
come
to
on the
kind of
show.
give
Like,
y'all.
it's like
Hold on,
I'm
Alex.
busy running
Alex,
my own
Mike,
show.
real
I
quick.
don't have time to just come on the show like that. But thank you for the invite.
Alex, Mike, really quickly. I guess right now it's probably like a good like pivot spot to allow y'all both to give like a minute apiece. It sounds like he was asking because y'all was just gonna keep talking over each other. Alex, he asked, are there things that you would list that people of the diaspora have done for FBA? I'll put a minute on the clock and I'll allow you to list, and then Mike, I'll give you a minute to respond to that.
Yeah, thanks.
Go ahead, Alex.
There's not really a list to talk about. Like I'm not trying to have a conversation in that way where like I'm tallying up things that people who came from certain islands and certain states did. Like I don't think we do that for any other context, so I'm not gonna indulge into that. What I'm ultimately saying is the grand point I'm making is
You're not gonna
a lot-
indulge.
You got allow him to get it off, Mike. Go ahead.
He just said he's not going to indulge, so he's not going to answer your question, right?
I think I'm just
I don't
giving
think
him
Mike is really here
his
to
pure
have
minute.
a genuine conversation, and I think that's somewhat disappointing.
I'm just not for this planning. The host just said, "Can you list anything the diaspora has done for FBAs?" And you didn't start listing nothing.
Can I help?
All right. So, hold on. I just want to give Alex his full minute. You got 35 seconds left. Keep going.
But ultimately, what I'm ultimately saying is, I think the history that we're trying to get into the nuance of is a lot more complex than me rattling off all the people that ever did anything. Like, my general point is, I appreciate and I respect FBA people and ADOS people wanting to delineate. I think it's important. I think it makes sense. But my ultimate point is, at the end of the day, like, there are a lot of people that are part of this fabric and the tapestry that is America that have, in great part, have contributed a lot of good things. If that's not your opinion, Mike, that's fine. I'm not here to convince you. Hey, more power to you. But like, that's essentially it.
All right,
Hopefully, you
Mike,
come on the show next week
you
and
on
we
the
can
clock.
have a longer conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much of a response. I mean, he's alluding to the diaspora adding contributions to our society, but can't actually speak to a single concrete thing that they've done. He can't list a single example of, yeah, you know what?
I didn't
Africans
list a
did this for
single
the black
example,
community.
but you literally...
Alex, allow him to complete
All right.
his
Again,
minute.
he can't list a single thing the diaspora has done for Black Americans, but we know so many things Black Americans have done for the diaspora. Damn, we created Pan-Africanism, right? I could just stop right there. But we also let you guys come to our HBCUs. We paved the way for immigrations during the civil rights movement, right? We even had freedom fighters leave from America to go help you guys out in Africa. Sally Struthers had us donating to save the children. MJ had everybody singing "We Are the World," sending y'all Red Cross rice. So, I mean, so many ways we've reached out to the diaspora, and it's been totally one-sided. And the proof is in the pudding. We got a member of the diaspora up here named Alex, and he can't list a single thing that his culture has achieved other than coming to America and becoming a politician. And secondly, he can't list a single thing the diaspora has done for foundational Black Americans. And that says all we need to say.
Again, Mike, we appreciate your commentary. That was great. I enjoyed the back and forth. And even like, again, with us, the whole idea of like Unpacked is we love for the audience to challenge our perspectives, our ideas. And that's one thing that you do come on here and do. We'll love to have you next week, inside whatever capacity. We appreciate you. But yeah, I think we're going to try and go to the next caller or kind of wrap up the show. We try and keep it within like the 3-hour range. But again, we appreciate it. Let everybody know where they can find you at.
Oh, yeah, you just look me up, Mike TV. Most people are familiar with me. Shout out to the chat. And peep game, y'all. Anybody laughing about reparations or claiming we're victims for advocating for reparations, that's a op who shouldn't even be welcome to the cookout. And with that, I'll see you guys next week.
Fuck the cookout.
All right, peace.
The fuck you talking about?
G, is it wrap up time?
Yeah, I think it's that time, man.
Okay. All right, fellas, we got about like 2 to 3 minutes left on the clock, and we'll try and wrap it up. Again, like shout outs to Mike TV. Whether agree or disagree, I enjoy the engagement and the challenge of ideas. We'll just kind of go round horn real quick. We'll start with G. Tell everybody where they can find you at. I heard Trey he building a FBA fan base, so they trying to find out who David Walker is. But G up top.
Yo, man, appreciate everybody tapping in. Make sure you follow at GSHPOD, where you can listen to the G Shit podcast, where we focus on family, friends, finances, freedom, and our future, and fuck everything else. Make sure y'all tap in at GSHPOD.
Alex.
I think this is a good conversation, very productive. Kind of got off the rails a little bit, but that's what we're here to have these long ended conversations with. So looking forward to the next one for next week.
Yeah. Trey.
What's up, everybody? Appreciate y'all for having me on. Yeah, but everybody go to rallyforreparations.com. June 15th is a reparations rally in DC. So we really trying to put some energy behind that. And it's New Black Media Appreciation Month. So everybody check out Professor Black Truth. And everybody hit the like, subscribe. Appreciate you having me on. Good conversation.
Yep. Call for action. Real.
I want to start by saying fuck the cookout.
We under a minute. We got to close out in under a minute.
40
Okay,
seconds.
okay, my bad. Hey, yeah, y'all can catch me on the To Be Fair show every Sunday, 4:30 on every Sunday. I appreciate being able to be here. Usually, I work too many hours to be here. I appreciate it. I love the conversation, and to all of the brothers on the panel, bro, I love y'all. And shoot, even if we may see different, you know what I mean? We may not see eye to eye, but we still heart to heart. Like, I love y'all boys.
10 seconds.
And like that, we're done, fellas. We appreciate y'all. Peace.